Yes. So he'll go around and do the greetings. After that, when he's taking his seat, the national anthem will follow. We have open prayer to be delivered by the Secretary of Kumbuna. Your secretary, it's not true? Or your registrar? Registrar, okay. Introduction of members.
Ananum, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has just joined us. Thank you. Yes, and respectfully, the President is greeting you. His in charge is being led by the Regional Minister, Honorable Simon Osemensa. Followed by Honorable Yao Osafo Malfo, yes, Special Advisor to the President.
Yes? Oh. Your Excellency. or we all be upstanding. Opening prayer. Your Excellency, the practice here would have been to delegate a few chiefs to come and welcome you, but looking at how crowded the place is, and I'm also informed that time is not on your side, so the welcome will be in my welcome address. So we invite the Registrar of Umbuna to lead us in a short prayer. Thank you.
This is the collateral president of Ghana. Well, sit down. As I'm very solid behind you.
Shall we be in the mood of prayer? In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the beneficent, we pray to you that today members of this house have gathered to meet His Excellency the President of the Republic. We commit the meeting into your hands, and we pray that the meeting will be successful at the end of the day. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Thank you very much. We go straight to introduction of members of the National House of Chiefs to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana. And so, Registrar, and after that, I'll go straight to deliver my welcome address. The Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources says whatever he wants to say. The President is competent and has everything to say, so he will not speak. So from me, we will listen to the address by His Excellency the President of the Republic, and then the open forum will not come on. We will have closed door meeting. And at that point, we will ask all the press to go out and request Nananum also to close their mobile phones. We don't want anybody to record anything when we are doing the closed door meeting. Thank you. So the introduction.
Respectfully, Your Excellency, I want to introduce members of the National House of Chiefs who are present here. We will start from my immediate right. We have Kumbuna Iri II, Kumbuna. We have Dasebre Osebonsu II, Mampohine. We have Nana Ansa Eduba, Yamfohine. We have Nini Sekete II, Kono of Menya Krobo. We have Defiama Na Dikwangwini Domalai, Defiama Na. We have Piman Pemya Cabrese, the fifth, Yejihene. We have Nana Ifa Apenten, Bampata Hene. We have Tobe Bobolunu. We have Tobe Anoma Aveno. We have Osia Diaye Akunfi Amiao Techimahen. We have Oje Mind Dudu Ampem, the second, Nsoko Hene. We have very much Afotnebo Kodia Kumawu Hene. We have Nana Fosudia Bo Akoto Bechemene. We have Nana Osenya Akon the second, Busugwa Hene. We have Nana Kongura Tingrugi the first, Kongura. We have Bako Ninaba Heluna Nasingbon La the third, Bako Ninaba. We have Pio Rana Kogo Mamra Banswa the second. We have Nana Tidi Kro Kone Odamba the third.
Be on your feet, please. That's right.
We have Nana Obrimpong Kenya the second, Bejamanse. We have Namona Dana Daniel Bugri Nabu the second, Namona. We have Nana Obombo Segura Lipora the third. We have Kusogura Kungraga the first, Kusogura. And we have Katache Bumangoma, you also, my hand. And we have Okucha So Kantamanto Orai Ajekum, the second, Achem Bosome, my hand, Nana, sorry. We have Sagnali Na Yakubu and Dane. We have Nana Sedu Lana, and we have Naga, that is from Naga, Bongu traditional area. Naga Naba. We have Nabiopio from, and we have Nagodi Naba. We have Nana Brekum Hene. We have Nana Trano Hene. We have Nana Kumawu Hene. Sorry, not Kwawumai Hene.
Have you forgotten their names? You have the names on the list.
Because of time factor. Nana Kwawumai Hene, that is Dasebre Akwamwa Japan the second. Brahma Esian Mahine, or therefore Afankwa the third. We have Nana Osiadeye Kwesikenen the fourth, Etimukwa Central Region. We have Osadefo Kwame Akonu the 10th. Enyai Abasa Mahine. We have Nana Kwame Mponsa the second, Awaso Mahine. We have Nana Nsoko, Nana Abase Mahine. We have Nana Basa in the Blue East. I can't see those. We have Nana Tapa in the Oti region. Before Nana Tapa, because Nana, please, I can't see you properly. Yeah. Sorry, Nana name here, that is your day before Nana Tapa. We have Nana Ntotroso, my hene. We have Nana Kenyase, number 1, my hene. We have Nana Japekrum hene. We have
Go there.
Kulobra.
Yeah.
we have Bakpagba Na Adam Nantongba, and we have Kolo Kuli Bukti Limad. The fourth, Guru Kuru. We have the Asebre Kwebu, and we see the seventh, Abiaze Domnase. We have Naba Azikri Abu Grago Asoka the second, Boko Naba. We have Okotre Dom Seti Akon the second, Double Mahine. We have Adebo Anemel the Seas, Osudoku, and Na Dauda Yamia Toka the second. Tunjurana Bopeura Jinapo the second. Bopeura. We have the Tundini Ediali Ayijitam the third. Tanapio Osajefo Ajamambadu the second. Domahene. Ana Mpra Bisimuna the third. Kratiura. Or therefore Amwakwabuadu the eighth. Bremai Esikuma Mahene. Osajefo Amwatia Oforipenin Oche Mahene. And we have Na Power Cabo the third, the Vice President of National House of Chiefs, that is Lola Na, and our President Ojiahoho Yajebi, the second, Sehi Anyaso Mainhen, and President of the National House of Chiefs.
Welcome, Your Excellency.
And Tebri, the Registrar of the National House of Chiefs. And my staffs are here with me.
Honorable Minister, if you wish to make a few, okay. Introduction. I've already acknowledged the presence of the chairman of a mineral, the chairman of a Forestry Commission, the CEOs of Minerals Commission and the Forestry Commission, and of course, members of the Forestry Commission, Minerals Commission, and Executive Director of Office of Administrator of Stool Lands. You are welcome. After delivering my welcome address, we will allow His Excellency the President also to respond, and then we'll go into closed session, just as I said. And when we go to closed session, I will make a few remarks again. And then I will nominate 5 of us also to make some comments. And finally, we will all listen to His Excellency for his comments on the issues that we will raise in the comments. I understand after delivering my speech, before His Excellency delivers his speech, there will be a documentary on Galamsey. And that one, Nanan will watch, everybody here will be allowed to stay in, but then after that, you all go out. I mean, please, when you go out, you don't want to stay in the foyer, because that is part of the chambers. So when we say out, out, you go down. I hope you appreciate that. Thank you. Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, my Vice President of the National House of Chiefs, Na Poweli Cabo III, Laura Na, Your Royal Majesties, Nanano, Ministers of State present, His Lordship Justice Obindi Awuo, Registrar and staff, friends from the media, members of the security agencies, and the clergy present. Let me use this platform to express my profound gratitude to Nananom for attending this important second general meeting of the House in spite of the short notice. This meeting was originally scheduled for next week. However, His Excellency the President requested me to invite you to this meeting today. Therefore, any inconveniences caused as a result of the change in date are deeply regretted. Your Excellency, on behalf of the members of the National House of Chiefs, we congratulate you on your recent appearance at the 77th session of the United Nations Conference held in New York. Mr. President, Nananom would like to associate ourselves with your profound statement at the United Nations General Assembly to the effect that every bullet or bomb fired in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war directly affects the pocket of Africans, in other words, African economy. Indeed, Nananom are very much concerned about the negative effects of the war on African economies. Nananom would like to call on Russia and Ukraine, and indeed the civilized world, to cease fire and instead adopt the use of diplomatic procedures to settle their differences. Moreover, Nananom expressed our appreciation to you for successfully representing the chiefs and people of Ghana on Monday, 19 September 2022 at the burial ceremony of the late Queen Elizabeth of England, the late Queen Elizabeth II. Mr. President, in May 2022, the Honorable Minister for Energy, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, met with members of the House and the National Queen Mothers Association of Ghana here to discuss the National Energy Transition Plan, where the government of Ghana is trying to achieve net zero emission of fossil fuel and other toxic substances released into the atmosphere that gradually destroy the ozone layer. Indeed, Nananom are solidly behind your government in taking pragmatic measures to successfully transit from the burning of fossil fuel to the use of renewable and cleaner energy. Mr. President, your relentless war waged against forest degradation and illegal mining in Ghana is of great importance to Ghanaians, especially we the chiefs. The effects of illegal mining on the environment threaten the survival of water bodies, farmlands, the cocoa industries, and even encourages school dropouts as well as undermines the revenue mobilization drive of the country. In view of these developments, Nananom are solidly behind your administration to apply the appropriate sanctions against persons who are engaged in the practice of illegal mining irrespective of their status. Mr. President, the Ghanaian public is well aware your government has commenced formal engagements with the IMF, International Monetary Fund, to secure an economic recovery program for the country in the midst of the current economic challenges. Nananom would like to urge the Ghana side of the negotiation team to maximize all their economic competencies and technical know-how to secure a good deal to boost investor confidence in the economy for its improvement. Nananom would like to appeal to the government of Ghana using this medium through our SETA ministry for the recruitment of staff, especially the non-professional class, to whose services are urgently required, particularly in the judicial sectors and the records department of the national and regional houses of chiefs, including the traditional councils. Furthermore, the National House of Chiefs is also appealing to the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare, the Ministers of National Security and Interior, to try as much as possible to check the crime rate in Ghana in recent times including the gruesome murder of the late Georgina Asobokwe at Mankasim, as well as the murdering of private security men in the Weija municipality in the Upper West region. Indeed, we are very happy that your Minister for Interior has made a definite statement about the chieftaincy dispute in the Upper East region. That is Boko. We urgently appeal to your government to pay Nananom's outstanding quarterly allowances. We also demand economic sitting and traveling allowances to reflect present-day economic conditions. Mr. President, on behalf of Nananom, you are gladly welcome to Kumasi into the House. Thank you very much. So, very good.
He's coming up. I thought they said we were going to play the...
Oh, I thought, no, they are showing the video first, right? It's okay, okay. The president. Yeah, very nice.
The President of the National House of Chiefs, the Vice President, and distinguished members of the National House of Chiefs, the Ashanti Regional Minister, Senior Advisor to the President, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, and Member of Parliament for Damango, the Minister for Local Government, Decentralization, and Rural Development and Member of Parliament for Okre, the Metropolitan Chief Executive for the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, members of the media. The President of the House, when I was greeting him, told me he thought that I would be in Kente to come and address the National House of Chiefs today. But I told him that there was no Kente of mine that could match up to the Kente of the members of the National House. So I thought it would be safer to be in a suit.
Before you leave.
I'm grateful to the President of the National House of Chiefs, the forward-thinking Omahini of Sefianriaso Ojiahoho Yaojebi II, for so readily agreeing to my respectful request to meet with you this morning. And I'm further grateful that at such relatively short notice, so many of you, our distinguished traditional rulers from the various parts of our nation, have found it possible to be here this morning to meet with you, to meet with me. I asked for this meeting because I want to speak to you about a matter of great national importance, and that is this vexed issue of Galamsey. The President and members of the National House of Chiefs, you have been for centuries the custodians and owners of the lands of our nation. Today, between you and I, as the President of the Republic, we are responsible for the management of all lands in Ghana. Indeed, 80% of the lands in this country continue to be under your custody, much of it having been acquired through the blood and sacrifices of your ancestors. The remainder of 20%, which I hold in trust for the people of Ghana, derives from state acquisition from you What this means is that ultimately, the welfare of the state of the lands is our joint responsibility. Historically, we discharge that responsibility well. Even though for centuries we have been a mining nation, mining did not pose a threat to the health of our environment and water bodies. The rules that you put in place for mining ensure that the sanctity of our lands remained intact and our water bodies remained unpolluted. Tragically, in the modern era, that is no longer the case. And that is why I've come to you today to talk about how together we can repair this dramatic situation. Since I took office on 7th January 2017, nearly 6 years ago, I have made it a central feature of my presidency to lead in the efforts to rid our country of this madness, which we all now call Galamsey. Indeed, it was an important aspect of my inaugural address of that day. It has not been easy, it has not been popular, and we have not got the immediate results that I was looking for. Indeed, in the last elections of 2020, my stance on the issue cost my party and I significant losses in the mining communities. It turned out that my statement that I was putting my presidency on the line in the fight against Galamsey was neither bombast nor recklessness. It was the simple truth. We have tried many initiatives, including that of the community mining scheme and the establishment of a new legal regime for dealing with the perpetrators of this phenomenon, which has imposed severe sanctions on those Ghanaians and foreigners convicted of illegal mining. Still, we have not won the fight. It is obvious that if we are to win the fight, you and I have to take the lead to collaborate closely to do so. And that is why I'm here today. After our meeting, I'll also be meeting with the other half of local government, the metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives in the 90 metropolitan, municipal, and district areas across the country where mining activities take place, to seek their active collaboration too. There are many requests I intend to make of you in the closed-door session of our meeting. But one of the most significant, which I have to state now, is to seek your assistance to take partisan political interests out of the fight against Galamsey. It can only succeed if it is a truly national battle, which no one seeks to exploit for political gain, as we saw in the last election. The progress of our country depends on all of us, all citizens of Ghana, all fellow Ghanaians, pulling together to defeat this existential threat to our future. I've said it before, we are not against mining, but we cannot accept mining in a manner that risks destroying our country. Our nation has always been a mining nation. Indeed, in the 15th century, when the first Europeans, the Portuguese, came to our shores, they called the first European influenced town Elmina, meaning the mine in Portuguese, because from their ships, as they approached our shores, that is the activity they saw our people engaged in. It is not surprising that in colonial times we were called the Gold Coast. I ask all of you to join hands with me in the fight against illegal mining in order to bring an end to the devastation of our landscape and the pollution of our water bodies. We have to win that fight to keep our environment clean and protect our heritage for our descendants, as you did so well in the past. I'd like, therefore, to conclude these introductory remarks and ask the media to excuse us, to play you a short video to indicate the nature of the problem.
After the video.
This is the state of our land and water bodies. Our environment. We did this. Decades of impunity and disregard for the law have resulted in this. The war against illegal mining has been fought and lost since the 1970s. And we all must take the fall for it. As a people, our lack of collective commitment has been a bane to the fight against illegal mining. For decades, successive governments' efforts have been thwarted by the very people expected to be at the forefront of the fight. The destruction to our water bodies and degradation of our land did not start today or recent years. Galamsey has remained prevalent, with efforts devoted to countering the practice hampered by several key factors. River and Cobra, Brim, Offing, Bia, Bonsa, Tano, hitherto surrounded by green and rich forest, flowed clean and pure. It was the pride of the people who lived on clean drinking water from these sources. All the crops, water bodies and precious minerals in our land stayed peacefully together in a delicate balance. But today, the collective pride and dignity can no more be boasted of. The rich farmlands and clean water bodies have largely been destroyed. Illegal gold mining devastates the environment, causing deforestation, biodiversity and habitat loss, as well as water, air and soil pollution through the release of toxic chemicals. A habit that successive national leaderships have cautioned, impressed upon and fought to stop the few out of the larger population for the good of us all now. Our children and their children's children have yielded little. For decades, a section of us have continuously participated in the degradation of the land we all depend on and will depend on for a lifetime. The ongoing prevalence of galamsey could threaten Ghana's agricultural production, increase the risk of social unrest, and heighten the potential for ethnic tensions between the influx of Chinese workers into Ghana and the local populace. We may sit in our homes thinking this does not affect us. Our family or immediate environment. What we may not know is that the activities of a few illegal miners in the Etiwa forest or along the banks of the Brim River expose all of us to serious health and environmental risks. So, it is on us, the politicians, traditional authorities, religious leaders, business leaders, and citizens who have aided or guarded the vices of Galamsey through decades to end it all and restore hope for future generations and dignity for this generation. The effects of Galamsey go beyond deforestation and water pollution.
All of you can see the level of devastation. It should baffle all of us as citizens, as policymakers, and as stakeholders in this fight, how an operation like this in the heart of the forest and in the faraway areas of our country can go on without notice by police, the chiefs, the local political leadership, assembly people, the district chief executive, for example, and I should dare say even the Inspectorate Division of the Minerals Commission here. The point we keep making about the fight against illegal mining being a collective one, I think this is a classic evidence of that call that it will require the concerted effort of all of us. It cannot be the fight for government alone or for ministers alone. It has to be the fight for all of us, citizens and all the actors in the body politic of Ghana.
The situation is dire, and if we continue to look on as a people, we may wake up one day with no water to drink, no land to farm, and no natural resources to boast of. It is time to come together in loyalty to our motherland, Ghana, devoid of political, religious, and tribal affiliations, to fight this canker.
We cannot look on as our very existence as a country is put in jeopardy and our water bodies, forests, and landmass are destroyed. Even with the ban, it has been a never-ending battle with the Galamseyans.
Collective action is required. Stop Galamsey. Let's save our environment. Our environment. We did this. Decades of impunity and disregard for the law have resulted in this. The war against illegal mining has been fought and lost since the 1970s.
Nana President and members of the National House of Fees, I thank you for your attention. And I'll ask the media at this stage to excuse us as we go into closed session. Thank you.
Press, but if no, please wait. We have a small presentation to make. His Excellency made a comment that when he came, I was expecting him to wear cloth for your hine, for your dish here. No urban and no higher. That's what I was expecting. It doesn't mean he doesn't have the cloth, but now that he's with us, Nana Bompata, please come forward. We have one piece of kente cloth. They say security people have seized our kente cloth. Eh? Who is holding the cloth? Nana Bompata, move to His Excellency and do the presentation on our behalf. Eh? Accepting this token from us. And Nana Bompata in your group, thank you very much for doing the presentation. So, the media, the press, please leave the hall, including the foyer. Do you want us to walk you out?
Welcome to the Lowdown on GhanaWeb TV. This is the most informative socio-political program you can find online. We bring you all the facts and updates on issues that matter to you. My name is Ismail Akwe. In this edition, we are going to discuss the creative arts industry, specifically the movie industry of Ghana. The movie industry of Ghana has brought so much pride to a lot of Ghanaians. However, currently, we have a lot of actors and actresses who are complaining about the way they are being treated, the way the industry is collapsing, and also the lack of jobs, lack of movies, and the competition with Nigeria and other countries that are also very active in the movie industry. We'll be talking with an expert who is an actor himself, and we're going to go into the issues of the movie industry of Ghana. Stay with us, we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back from the break. This is the lowdown on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Ismail Akwe, and our guest is a veteran actor. I don't know if you are interested in veteran, but he's been acting for so many years. He's Ekow Blankson. He's also a marketer and also a director and everything you could think of. Welcome, Ekow Blankson.
Delighted to be here. Thank you very much, Akwe.
So, how should we describe you? Veteran? Well, what's the meaning of veteran actor, if people go by that?
I think the word veteran means that you're an ace actor. You've been there, you know, for a long time, and therefore you're a known professional. You know, I think that's what it is.
So, how long have you been there? When did you start, if you can remember?
Well, I started. I always say this, but sometimes it's just like a joke. You know, I started in my mother's womb. Don't mind me. But I actually started when I was in Adisado College. You know, I've done literature through and through. You know, so I started doing theater. You know, and I realized my talent way back when I was in Adisado. You know, from 1984 to 89 when I finished Form 5 to 91 and when I finished 6th Form, I was still doing literature. So it was drama is part of literature, the forms of literature. So you get to do some of these things. So we're doing play acting and all of that.
And when did you go behind the camera? I mean, in front of the camera.
Oh, okay, yes. So that would be in I remember and let you know.
Okay, but the circumstances.
Yes, before I went to the University of Ghana, the School of Performing Arts, I was acting on stage again at International Central Gospel Church.
Okay.
That led me to GBC, where we did the Thursday theaters.
Oh, so you were in the Thursday theater?
Yes, so I would say that is when I got in front of the camera.
Okay. And how was it like at that time? Was that your dream? Were you fulfilled? Did you feel that?
Of course. I mean, we all, again, I would say that when I went to the International Central Gospel Church and I joined Being Empowered then, here, I met great guys that I've been seeing on TV. And I was like, whoa, these guys, I see these guys. I was like, and then I realized that, yeah, it's something I really wanted, really, really looked up to do. And so I saw these guys and I was like, okay, it's great to be to be here with some professionals. And of course, it led us, some of our stories were so great that we had to showcase it on the TV theater, and that worked for us.
And at that time, you were yet to go to the University of Ghana.
Yes, I was now going to go to the University of Ghana. So all that interest really moved me from studying law, which my father wanted me to do, you know, and really insisted. But I told him, no, this is not what I want to do. I really have a skill to do, or the talents, not a skill, the talent to do theater. And so I wanted to go to the School of Performing Arts. Yeah, I'd spent some time at the School of Performing Arts, you know, just going to find out what the big guys like Buriverson and all Martin Usus were doing. And I thought, yes, this is where I want to be.
And you featured in very prominent movies and very popular movies as well. And I remember you on even Sun City, which was a program that was running, and also some other programs. And currently, you are also featured on some DSTV productions. How different is it from then and now?
Well, the technical dynamics are not different. It is really with the person in terms of what you're doing as an actor and how far you have grown. And so the skill gets developed. You know, first of all, I always want to encourage people to really look at where their talents are and really build on these talents, because then it makes you a better person. That's something that I really had to do. You know, it will interest you to know that the first time I went to the School of Performing Arts, even though I had good grades, I failed the interview. I failed, and I sat home for 1 year. That was because I had butterflies. You know, it wasn't like I didn't have grades or I couldn't do it, but I wasn't prepared. And that's another thing. That's preparation. Get ready to make it happen for you. So the second time I went, now I think I overbashed it. I would say I say these things every time I'm having to speak with people, and I think that the first failure is not an opportunity for you to quit, but to try it again.
So the different dynamics you're talking about, that's technical.
Yes.
Now let's come to experience. I know there are a lot of younger people in the industry, and we see a lot of them who are also directing movies and producing movies. You are still working with them. You worked with those of the old, and I mean the real veterans who have retired.
Exactly.
How different is it? Do you need to go to the School of Performing Arts to get to that level of quality?
So Aku, you're going to get me into trouble, because I got into trouble once for saying this, and I think that it will be an opportunity to clear that. What I say is that, look, it is always important to learn on what you already think that you know. All right? It's important. So going to the School of Performing Arts is a very important thing. Going to NAFTI to learn filmmaking is a very, very important thing to do, But however, there are people who are naturally talented, and then they would say, look, I don't have to go to school to be a better actor or to be a better film director or cameraman or lightman or something. Most of the guys have learned on the job, and that's learning. You see what I mean? It's learning. It's not like you just got up and took the camera and then started shooting anything. That would be a novice, So these are the differences of the trade or of the industry. So you need to really understand what you're doing, and before you're able to do this, it's a skill area. The acting itself is a skill area. You need to understand what to do in terms of movement and what not to say and how to modulate your voice, your tones, and all of that. It's a skill area. You got to learn it. And so that's what I tell people who think that, oh, I can do it. Oh, I love to do it. Okay, yes, you love to do it. It's fine. But try and understudy somebody. I don't say go to school or anything, but understudy somebody. That's learning as well. And then you get better.
So understudying is also enough for you to be an actor?
Yes, it is. It is great to understudy somebody. I am an actor. If I get somebody that says, look, I want to be an actor. Yes, it's okay, fine. I hold your hand. I teach you a few things. I don't just put you in front of a camera and say, do what you have to do. That will be, leading you to fail. So understudying somebody and also learning, the rudiments of the industry or the skill really helps.
Do you have a problem with Kumawood actors and actresses
you see?
in the industry?
That's where I say I was trying to run away from that.
But they do a lot of understudying.
Yes,
and
that's open. Exactly. So you see, I was misunderstood the last time I mentioned about Kumawood actors, because I was asked the question, and I was really misunderstood, and it worried me a bit. But the point is that these guys are really good talents. No two ways about it. We'll talk about the concert party team. We'll talk about these guys who do the tree itself. I mean, it's difficult. I've done English through. If I am a Fanti, if you want me to do a movie in Fanti, it's difficult. These guys are better than I. You understand? And I think that they're great. They've got a skill set that needs to be developed. It needs to be done right. We need to really groom it well and make it big. Well, today, the industry in Kumasi or Kumawood is not as big as it used to be, or vibrant as it used to be. They're still doing it, but it's not as vibrant. Why? It's because we have not really taken time to groom these guys. And it was all like, let's do that kind of thing, is what I was talking about. I'm saying, look, there are agencies. NAFTI is there. Nothing stopped NAFTI from taking Kumawood as a case study, to develop that industry and help them to grow economically, and everything. You understand? So that is where we have a problem. They are great guys. They can do it. They can advance what they're doing and make it really nice.
Are you going to reject a role when you are offered one by a Kumawood producer?
Way, no, I will do it. In fact, I think I have done one.
Okay.
Yes.
Which movie was that?
Well, it's not out yet. It's not out yet, but I've done something called Business. Yes.
And which language do you speak?
I spoke predominantly English.
Okay.
But I had to mix it with Fanti because of the kind of people.
Yeah.
Now, the business, I'm business, and I'm a drug lord, who knows the real business in drug business. So I had to mingle with other people, and stuff like that. So I use the local language, and I think it's nice to mix. It makes you dynamic.
Because they held the industry when the English speaking industry the English speaking part of the industry was not really forthcoming with movies. The Kumawood actors held the industry for a long time, until recently that the entire industry seems to be collapsing or dying, if I may say that. How did you feel at the time when the English movie industry was not really performing? What was really the cause? Was it Nigeria? Because I see people blaming Nigeria for that.
Well, I wouldn't say that it collapsed. I think it was an issue with focus and also funds. So I would say that the Kumawood guys had the liberty to do things on a low budget and still have the story told out there. It was difficult to do that with some of the English ones because then you needed to look at some different kinds of location and stuff like that. We'll come to that. And those are the challenges that the English people had. If you go to Nigeria right now, there's some big guy there who says, "Look, I have a house that I'm not using. Come use it." He will feed you on top and give you money. Why? Because he understands the business. He understands that this will help their culture. Is this Nigeria? Is this a house in Nigeria? All these things really, really worked. I don't think that we're getting that.
Bollywood, Nollywood, India, Nigeria, they all thrived on low budget movies.
Yes.
Pushed it so much that money came in and they started doing high budget quality movies. But with Ghana, there was rather a lot of criticism of the low budget movie industry, which is Kumawood, I may say, in the past. And the criticism went, it affected that industry so much. Don't you think we are being too hard
I think
the Kumawood actors?
I think we're being too hard. And I'll give you my personal experience. I was going to the US to visit on a holiday, to visit my brother. My brother was like, "Hey, when you're coming, bring me some of your movies from Ghana." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." At that time, I just done Checkmate. We finished Checkmate with Shelley and all that. And I said, "Oh, yeah, I just did one. It's so great." And so I'll bring you. No. Bring me a Jacko. Bring me, that kind of thing. That shows that even in the diaspora, where our guys are, they really looked up to these Kumawood guys. It was very important because it was an opportunity. After a hard day's work, you want to come back and laugh. You want to come back and enjoy it. The story is still being told, but in a different way. So we were actually being hard on them. Some of us really criticized. And I think that we were in a minority. The people, those of us who were really criticizing and saying that, "Oh yeah, these guys should do the thing better," that kind of thing, immediately, and it was quite bad. We just needed to get involved in it and help them and see where they faltered or where they could have been. It could have been better.
So you call it a failure on your side?
I would say so. I would say so. And I'm not taking myself out of it because, of course, I'm a professional from the School of Performing Arts and everything. I call the directors of NAFTI, all of us. In fact, now that we have the NFA, this is the time to get into that industry because it's a form of filmmaking, which is good. It has to be done and done right, especially if we do our subtitling so well. We can sell it out. And so it is great. So it hurts me that we have moved from that area and we're doing other things. Indeed, the Kumawood guys, some of them are now doing English movies, and it's surprising.
We'll be talking about the financial aspects of the industry and also the future of the industry right after this break. This is a lowdown on GhanaWeb TV. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. This is the lowdown on GhanaWeb TV, and our guest is Ekow Blankson, a veteran actor or ace actor, whichever way you want to call it. We're talking about some of the things you used to do, and also the introduction of Kumawood, and also how they held the whole industry down for some time. And now we are seeing what we are seeing, which is less movies being produced. We have now a little focus on television series and all of that. But let's go a little way back when there was a transition from cassettes to CDs, and also from CDs now we went to pen drives. From pen drives now we have digital streaming and all of that. And then and now, what is the difference in terms of payment of actors and actresses then and now, and during the transition? Was it better during the cassette season, or was it better during the CD season? Did sales affect the pay that was given to actors and actresses?
Okay, so I would say that I may not be an authority in the producing side very much, but I can always mention Venus Productions, Salam. He was big in Opera Square. CDs really sold well, and I think that really gave them some good money. And obviously, once they got money, then they paid actors very well. I think that one of the reasons, I would say, I'm not too sure, but I believe that one of the reasons why Kumawood is not what it is today is because CDs have really gone out of the system, because they were selling a lot, and in the trade, I mean, I've done marketing and stuff like that, so I see them. They're actually selling CDs in the trade on car backs with music and everything, and people were buying. Unfortunately, we have had too many TV stations now, so it was difficult, and TV stations are not really buying the movies. They're not buying movies. What they will do with you is that bring your movie, will do better.
Okay.
I mean, what is that to the producer? He wants the money. He spent hard cash to get it done, and now you want to take it on butter. It's difficult for them. So I think that those are some of the things. So I think coming to the present stage that we are in now, we need funds. The industry needs funds to operate, and there's so many ways of getting these funds.
How do or would the funds come? Because a lot of people are calling on government. Can you fix the industry? Can you bring some funds and let's do ABC? And others also say, well, some funds have been given, but they see nothing. And now they blame associations. I know there's the Actors Guild. There's also the Ghana Academy of Film and Television Arts, which has so many guilds and associations.
Yes, so the ASOGs and all that.
So how can they get the funds?
So again, maybe that would be for another platform that you want to have, and have people who have been rooting this for the national industry. Indeed, I think that you will need to speak with some people from the NFA, the National Film Authority. You need to speak with people from the Ghana Actors Guild. You need to speak with people from ASOG and all that. But I can tell you from an actor's point of view, and also from a marketer's point of view, that we have an industry, but we don't have a film economy. So we have a film industry, we have people who make up the film industry, but we lack in the place of film economy. Now, why do I say that? First of all, as a country, we need to understand what our films can do for us. And I'll speak on authority of the fact that I have traveled wide and I know what content does. When I was working for TV3, I had the chance to go to MIPCOM and MIP TV, where content is displayed at a huge Cannes in France, you know, and they sell content. What am I talking about? Bollywood, you see Bollywood, you know, properly displayed. You see Nollywood, Hollywood, you know, and different Canada and all that, you know, preaching their culture through film and all of that. What are we as Ghana doing? Today, look at Nigeria. Nigeria has beaten Bollywood. Bollywood was second in the world. It was Hollywood, then Bollywood, and then Nollywood. But now, Nollywood is second. You know? Well, if the facts have changed, I'm not aware. But as I know that Nollywood has beaten Bollywood.
It would be great to know the source of that information.
Yes, I mean, it says, I mean, I think that it's wide. If you Google it, you can find it. And that's the truth. The reason is that they understand and get funded or get help. Okay? So there's so many things, stages of funding, or the stages that you need money for to do a film. First of all, you need to get your script has to be paid for. Your locations will have to be paid for. Your equipment will have to be paid for. Your actors will have to be paid for. And your hotels or wherever, you know, your welfare has to be paid for and all of that. All right? Now, can't we understand that these things really go to drain our pockets and people can come in and support? And this is where I like the Nigerians. One, they are daring, and so they'll go for it. I'm not saying that we are not daring, but they go for it. They're able to go to a home and say, hey, you know what, this is your house, I'm using it for a film. And luckily, the owner might say, yes, use it. Give me credits, and that's it. Or they want to pay for, you know, that kind of thing. There's enthusiasm already. They see film as part of them. You know, it sells them. Does it sell us? Do we understand that we can sell our culture using film? Do we understand that we can let people know, communicate our agenda and everything in this country through film?
So whose doorstep does this call goes to? Is it the producer?
Well, that is the discussion you probably want to have later with the NFA. Okay, because there's an act, there's a Film Act 935 that has been passed, but obviously they have an LI and all that has to be added to it. I will not speak to that, lest I make mistakes and get my head chopped off. But the issue is that there is so much opportunity that we have to grab from this industry. If the country knows, if the tourism sector knows that we can actually use film to develop Chalewote, festivals, other things that we are doing, they should be able to get involved. Now, there's so many TV stations now. The NCA has given licenses for TV stations and everything, and I worked in the TV station and stuff like that, so I understand what I'm talking about. We don't buy films, or we didn't buy films, but we wanted that content. So what stops us as a country to say, you know what, guys, I want to invest in projects. I want to invest in some content, film, okay, TV series or short films or whatever, time with Nafti and things like that. You know, invest that money and say, I would own the film, maybe 70%, and 30% goes to you so that you can use as your content and also sell to advertisers. After a time, government takes the 70%, goes to a place like France, Cannes, where there's MIPCOM and MIP TV to set up a stage to sell these movies that they have done.
And I hope they are listening, and then at least we could take a step. However, let's talk about the welfare of actors and actresses.
Okay.
Welfare. When we were working or filming with Thursday Theatre, do you remember how much you were paid? That's if you were paid.
I don't remember.
But were you
I don't
paid?
think no. We're not really paid. It was an opportunity to put our group there.
Okay.
Those times with Mama Oye and all that. I think that there was some, definitely the TV station was paying, but I don't remember we even asking, because for us it was an opportunity.
But when was the first time you were paid for a movie?
Well, that will be a long time. I'll call it about, say, 20 or 22 years ago. I was paid for adverts.
Okay, not movies.
Yes, first I was paid for adverts, and I was shocked. At that time, I was a student. I was shocked. I would call that money 2,000 now.
Okay,
as a student.
Around 2,000 cedis, the value?
Yes, around 2,000 cedis, the value, yes. And that was a key soap advert.
Key soap?
Yes.
You were on key soap adverts?
Yes. And I was really shocked. I was like, ooh. I mean, I didn't understand. You see, and that's another thing, understanding the industry and understanding what you're worth is another thing that we need to really look at. All right. So then on, I normally have a problem with negotiations with film, and so I really work with people that I can trust, so that if I know that you are not a cheat, then I can do your.
So you were selective about the producers you work with.
I was very selective. I was almost given a name that Ekow, when you go and call him on yet. That he won't do.
And that was because of the payment.
Because I didn't want to come to that discussion where I say add a little, add this. I didn't want that, and I think that should be something that we need to regulate in our industry. HR, if you leave school, there's a minimum that they give to you when you have left, say, you've done your first degree and you come to industry to work, right? Yeah. And then when you grow, then your salary keeps increasing, and there's a range. Why are we not doing that? Our industry is also a professional industry, it's a skill area. Why is it that we do not have that range of salaries that is given to, say, somebody who has been in the industry for more than 23 years, 25 years, myself? How much are you supposed to pay me if I am even featuring in a 1 minute of your film? Because my face would be a selling tool for you. So why are we not doing that? And those are things that I'm talking about that's the economy that I'm talking about. Then it would lift our business up.
So does that mean all the movies you shot, you were paid?
Yes.
All the movies?
Yes.
And a series as well?
Yes.
Like Sun City?
Yes.
And you were paid right?
Some of them you would do on gratis.
Okay.
Because you want to help an upcoming person, and say, hey, you know what, let me help you do this. Because he comes to you and says, I want to come up, I don't have the money. And you can see genuinely that he hasn't got the money. And even if you had money, you would have supported this person. And so I think that this is something that we do sometimes. But we make sure that at least there's value in what you're doing and you're helping somebody.
This is a very popular question that comes up on other interviews where they ask, what have you ever used your movie money to buy? What's the biggest thing you've bought? Did you buy a house with one movie's payment, salary? Did you buy a car? What has the movie money ever bought for you, which is really huge?
Unfortunately, it's a hand-to-mouth salary. It is not. It is not something to. It's not anything to write home about, really. And And so I believe that the kinds of things that I have done here, by the way, I've done some Netflix and BBC movies as well, done some Nollywood's movies and stuff like that.
We'll come to the difference between those industries and ours. Yeah.
But if I was doing a Hollywood, I'm sure that the kind of attention and detail that I attach to filming here, a kind of characterization, I spend time to read scripts, to develop, to ask questions, visit. Sometimes you want to play a madman, and you go and take your time and look at a real madman and watch the way they do things. Those things, if you were doing that outside, then you can say that yes, you can buy a house, you can buy a car, you can get married. But really, I would say that the monies that we have made, or I have made, I don't know about others, but I have made, has been hand to mouth.
So you've never bought a car out of the movie?
No.
You didn't use that to marry?
My cars that I bought are from corporate salaries and stuff like that. Yes.
So movie salary has never bought you a house, a car? You couldn't use that to even start a project?
It has not. Because the point is that it's even spoiled, before it comes, it's gone. And you sometimes even use it for fuel.
Netflix and BBC and all of that, was their payment structure the same? Was it way better? Was it different?
Way better. Contracts were signed ahead of time. The Netflix one that I did, New Earth Rising, you had to go to, every actor, no matter the stage of, role that you're playing, whether it's minor, major, that you had your room, was a tent, all right, but it was well done, with a sofa, with AC, where you relax, they relax you, they take care of you, and make sure that once you're done, they give you your periodic, they give you a schedule and periodic. Yes, we do all of that here.
We'll come to the details of that right after this break. This is the lowdown on GhanaWeb TV. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. This is the lowdown on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Ismail Akwe, and I'm here with actor Ekow Blankson. So you are taking us through some very interesting stories about acting and also the salary bit of it. And you are giving us a difference between the Netflix production and that of the local. And in the Netflix production, you said you even have a tent for yourself.
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
so many other things.
Yes,
Give us the juicy part of it.
It was so interesting. It was so new, and I was like, oh, okay. We've done the Sean Devereaux story in the past, and you see their setup is really different and really classy, even though they have come to a low budget area. Less the labor and all that, the actors, they come to a low budget thing, they take advantage of that, but at least they treat you well. And then so whatever you get, say if you're getting a 3,000 CDs for a movie that has about 100 scenes, here, with the Netflix, you could get something like 8,000.
Do people get 3,000 CDs for a 100-scene movie?
Less.
Less than 3,000 CDs?
Yes, less.
For 100 scenes?
Yes, less.
And the 100 scenes can be shot in how long?
Well, it depends. It can be shot sometimes in 14 days, sometimes in, maybe.
How is the pricing done? Is it based on scenes? Are you paid based on scenes?
Well, right now, with DSTV coming in, and thanks to them for at least making us relevant, we're paid per episode.
Per episode?
Per episode,
okay.
Yes. We're paid per episode.
Whether you appear once or not?
Yes,
in one scene or not?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it depends on the the scenes that you're shooting within the episode.
And with the Netflix production, how was the payment done? Is it for the whole movie?
Yes, for the whole movie. It's negotiated. Says, so you have this number of scenes that you have to shoot. And I remember it was just, how many scenes did I shoot? I think was very intense. I think it wouldn't be more than 8 scenes.
8 scenes. And how long did it take to shoot the 8 scenes?
I did it in a day.
In a day?
Yes.
Okay.
1 day.
And what's the range of payment?
Well,
were you paid before or after?
After
the movie.
After.
Okay.
They went through an agency, and I believe that if they had come straight to us, it would have been different. So the agency already took their commission. I do not know. I don't want to get into that.
What was the range? Was it
the range was between 5,000 and 8,000.
5,000 and 8,000. Okay. And do you think that was okay? That's standard for 8 scenes?
Yeah, but if I go and do 100 scenes and I'm paid 3,000, 2,000. Sometimes 1,500, and then you can come in here and get 8,000, 10,000. It looks good.
Well, your case will be different from a lot of actors and actresses who don't have any side jobs they're doing. Yes. I don't know which one is your side job, whether it's the acting that's the side or your main job that's the side. But you have worked in the media, you have worked in the corporate world. Yes. You've done so many things in there. Was that a choice? Was it because of the payments, the low payments in the industry?
I say thanks to the School of Performing Arts because it made me whole. So obviously I went to the school and learned drama, theater arts, and majored in directing and everything. But it made me whole. It put me in different areas. So when I realized that, look, this industry was not consistent with how much we're getting paid or what salaries we're getting, or for films, I decided that let me put my skill from the school to use, and therefore I went into marketing, event management and sponsorship management and all of that, and all of those things you actually get from the School of Performing Arts. If you do your participations right, you learn all these things. So I think that it's really was a choice. I had to take that route because the passion was big. Great to do filming, but if it was paying and it was consistent, then I would have stayed in it through and through. So it has become a side business now.
So that's a side business, and not the movie?
No.
No,
I mean
the movie is a side business.
It's a side business.
So would you advise others to also get other jobs doing?
Yes,
while they
I think that it is important that we understand what we are doing. Understand first your own family, your responsibilities and all of that. You cannot keep up sitting and waiting for an industry that's still trying to make it. If there's another way of getting money, I'd advise you to try and do it. It really takes away the focus sometimes, but it's also important for you to live. It's essential that you must live. Essential that you must take care of your family or your needs. You understand? So if there's something that is giving you some gains, it's important that you do that. I do not say that the movie industry in Ghana will not lift or will not plateau, will not get to an apogee. It will. I believe so from my heart that it will. When that happens, some of us with our passion and creativity will definitely follow it.
Unfortunately, Sam Ajetefio Titi can't say the same. Kosher can't say the same, and we have others who are struggling, like William,
Grace Note,
and all the others. Are you a member of any movie association?
Yes, I am a member of the Ghana Actors Guild. So that's the association.
Yeah. What do you get from the Ghana Actors Guild? Do they help you negotiate your deals in terms of movies?
Again, I would say that is something that is in the pipeline. Okay. I think there's we were redrafting our constitutions and all of that, where I think they're insisting, because I am not part of the executive body that are doing that, but they're insisting that if international movies are coming in, or international producers are coming in, they should use the Actors Guild. And I think that it is in the right direction. The things that I've been talking about, once it goes through these things, like remuneration, the HR bit, what are the stages of actors, who are they, what are they worth, then cheating will not come in, and people will not feel disgruntled.
And now social security.
Exactly. You see, you don't have social security. What are the taxes? Then we can also even pay taxes. It's regulated well that we can pay taxes to the government from whatever we are.
Currently, actors are not paying taxes.
I don't know.
They don't deserve any.
I don't know how to even go about it, because at the end of the day, when I collect the money, it's going to some fuel or something, getting me back home.
So if you don't pay state any money, and then you go on retirement, if there's any retirement for you.
That's it. There's nothing for you. There's nothing for you.
And you have to beg the association.
Yes.
And you see Ghanaians complaining and blaming associations for not supporting. It means the association has a major role to play. in curtailing the future, or taking care of the future of the actors and actresses.
Indeed, and I think that they're trying. From the things that I've heard, I mean, they're trying to push the NFA to pass the LIs to make sure that we can actually have the acts running and doing. And then these constitutions that I'm talking about, the people would have to go through contracts. You have to sign contracts and stuff like that. And one of the things that will be in the contracts is to pay my social security, in the contracts, and then or the tax that you have, the tax component, and I have to make sure that you have actually paid my tax out of the money that you're giving to me. These are things that we have to do, and I'm in business and I know governance, so I understand that these things ought to be done well, but they have to be done rightly. They have to be done when we know that the structures are right. And we are actually giving to our people. Look at Sam Adjetifu, my brother. I mean, look at the embarrassment, that came with him at the end of the day. But the guy was being real. He didn't have it. You understand? He didn't have it. I mean, this is a guy who was really entertained as and everything. Can you equate your stress level with it being moved away with Adjetifu just making you laugh? Can you equate it? You could have died out of that stress. He might have saved you. You understand? Things like that. At least we should pay for that. I'm not saying that government come to give Adjetifu money or give me money or anything. No. All I'm saying is that get structures in place. Make sure that things are working. Invest in what we are doing. Even if you have to even own it partly, let us know that, okay, I'm investing this, I'm owning this way, that kind of thing, so that you pay these guys who are aiding us to do this thing right. And people will be happy. I'm sure we can buy a house. And we can live right. We don't have to buy a taxi for our sons.
So do you foresee another golden era for the Ghana movie industry? And when do you think that could come up?
Well, I see that coming very soon. The people at the NFA understand what they are doing, and so there's also the classification boards and everything. We've got great stories to tell. And today, if you go to your grandmother and go and ask for one story, you would see that she can give you 10 various stories that you can actually put together. So we've got great stories that we have to tell. My grandmother, who died 115 years, could tell you about Nkrumah as if she was sitting with you. These are things that we really lack. We need to get to that point. I believe that we would hit it. We would hit it. We would. I believe that the structures will be right, and then we'll get there. I believe in it.
Would you encourage your son who wants to quit, let's say, another profession, to go into movies? Would you advise him to go into it?
I did it. I did it. I told my father, look, I want to go into theater arts. I want to go into the arts. I want to do filming. I want to do acting and all that. Indeed, it was not filming then at the time. It was just theater that I really enjoyed. But then I moved branch into film, which is great. And so I did it. And I believe that if it is a passion for whoever, my son, I believe that he will be able to excel in it. He may not be here in this country. I mean, I went to the New York Film Academy. After the first week I left, I had to come back home. Probably if I had stayed in America in the New York Film Academy, probably would be doing great.
Well, here you are talking about outside the country.
Yes.
I mean inside. If your son wants to do or pursue acting in Ghana,
he can do it.
Is this advice that he does, despite the financial issues and all the other issues that come with
I will advise on the basis of passion, or advise on the basis of interests, and whatever you put your hearts to, I think, and you're consistent with it, you can make some money out of it. Who knows? He, my son, will be one of the architects of change.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ekow Blankson. This is the Lowdown on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Ismail Akwe. Watch us every Monday on all of GhanaWeb's digital channels and on GhanaWeb TV. Be safe.
You can see that properties and lives have been destroyed. When you go to Tetegu, our nearby communities, we've learned that this morning 4 people have lost their lives due to the spillage of the water.
The Ghana Water Company Limited for the past 3 days has been spilling excess water from the Weija Dam. This has resulted in flooding in areas around the Weija Dam. Residents here tell us that the situation this year is like never seen before. Hundreds have been displaced with several homes flooded. On this special episode of Say It Loud, we bring you a special coverage of this year's Weija Dam spillage and its consequential flooding in the areas of Weija. My name is George A.E.C. and this is Say It Loud on GhanaWeb TV. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. This is Say It Loud on GhanaWeb TV. It's a special coverage of this year's Weija Dam spillage, which has resulted in quite unprecedented flooding in various communities around the Weija area. As you can see in our shots, these are residents who are trying to salvage some of their properties. But it is clear that the impact is very severe. Several homes have so far been submerged. The water levels are very high. As a matter of fact, the residents say this year's flooding is very much unprecedented. It has really never happened this way before. We came this morning to meet several residents who, as a matter of fact, slept outside yesterday. Those who could leave have left. Some are sleeping in hotels. Those who can afford it are sleeping in hotels. And those who have no other means had to sleep on the streets. We saw some people who have erected tents, whilst others slept out in the open. We are in this particular house, which is just a few meters away from the main road, and behind this house is other houses and buildings extending hundreds of meters back. So this should give you a picture of the extent of the flooding. And here, as you can see, the water has already made its way into the room, and it is rising in its level. Sir, you live in this area. Yeah. How have you been affected?
Oh, okay. My name is Emmanuel. We live around close to the road. thinking that the water will not make its way to the road, but as we are speaking, the water has entered our rooms. We have to relocate our things to friends and people that we know. So we are being affected, and I can't say the government should come and give us an aid, because according to reports that we've gathered, we learned the main dam is almost at the verge of breaking. So they just have to be opening the water bit by bit for the spillage to go through. So if this is not done, I believe that the whole of the community will be flooded if the bridge breaks down. So for now, we just have to manage it like this. But some people's items have been taken away by the water. Surprisingly, they were not at home before. So the water made its way to the room and took some of the things away. But we are glad that some of us were able to take our things away before it happens. So that is what I can say.
But before this, this is something that happens annually, and I believe that usually you would receive notice from the Ghana Water Company Limited. What happened this year? Did you get any notice?
We've not got any notice. And then secondly, too, it happens annually, but it has never gotten to this extent. When my mother-in-law was telling me about this, she said it was in 1991 that the spillage came to this extent. But this particular year, because they said some of the water bodies, there was too much rainfall, so it's like it's breaking down the bridge. So this is what has happened. We have not gotten any notice, and even if we've gotten notice, what can we do? There's nothing we can do.
But for some people, this is an area where a dam is around, and
we build close to the dam.
That is the issue, right?
I know that is what everybody is saying.
So why?
But here lies the case. When you come, if you calculate, let's go this way. If you calculate the distance between where the spillage water passes and then where our rooms are built or our houses are built, we are almost like 30 meters away from the water. But here is an instance, the water, it has been opened beyond what has normally been open. So there is nothing we can do. So if somebody is somewhere saying that, why do we know that this is an incident, and then we go on to build around the Accra is now flooded, and we want to stay in Accra. I believe that you also want to, everybody that is listening to us want to stay in Accra. And then here lies the case, we've not gotten money to go and build that where we desire. So actually we have to manage and then be in the system for a meantime. If God willing and we've got our money, then we go wherever we want to build.
But so far, have you heard anything from the National Disaster Management?
No.
Have they been around here?
We only saw some people yesterday from the Gassat Assembly coming around to come and tell us that everybody should move from the if your house is close to the water, we should move away from there. That is all. The MC has not been here, the MP has not been here, nobody. If your cameraman can capture this guy, the guy who is going, he is the guy who was pulling people's things. He is the one pulling people's things. Have you seen? He's the one picking people's items from the house since yesterday up till now. So nobody should be as someone and blame us that why do we build close to the water bodies? Because we normally know that the water has never been opened up to this extent. It was in 1991.
So yes, all forms of efforts are being deployed in terms of salvaging valuables and rescuing even animals who have been affected by this situation. With canoes and people who are able to swim, residents of Weija are doing everything possible to save themselves from the impact of this flooding. The spillage of the dam and the consequential flooding has affected a lot of residents of Weija. We have with us one of the residents to tell us about the impact it has had on him. Boss, how have you been affected by the flooding?
It's very serious. You can see that properties and lives are being destroyed. When you go to Tetegu, our nearby communities, we've learned that this morning 4 people have lost their lives due to the spillage of the water. Tetegu is just around. Yeah, 4 died. Yeah, that's what we've heard this morning. They are our brothers, so we make contact because when the excess water overflow, it affects a whole lot of community. So this morning they started it started coming small gradually. But this morning when we woke up, we saw that volume of the water is so severe. So people affected should move their things outside.
But the issue some people are raising is that this area is is in the dam, in the area of the dam. And so if there's a spillage, then there's the likelihood that the place might be flooded. So the question then is, knowing the state of this area, why do people build here? Why do you rent here? Why do you live here?
Actually, they've been warned several times. The truth is they've been warned several times, and they are aware. Listen, every year we experience that they open the dam, and when they open it's like we see how gradual the water comes up. But this time around they are so severe, and we are appealing to them to move, because this thing is not. We are aware of climate change. We are aware of climate change, and now it's raining, so we appeal to them to move. The best thing is for them to move.
Boss, how did you sleep last night? Badly, because no notice was served on us. The spillage happens annually, but this year took us by surprise. We were all in our rooms when we saw the water coming in with a lot of pressure. I went out for a bit, and when I returned, the whole of my room was flooded. All my properties have been destroyed. I retreated when I opened my door and saw the state of the room. We were not given any notice at all. They would usually open the dam and keep the pressure at a low level, so the impact is minimal. But everything happened suddenly this year.
But this time, no man cry.
The dam was not open in August as expected. So what are you doing about your current situation? There is little we can do as we are stranded. The whole town has been affected. Those who can afford it have gone to sleep in hotels. Now we are the ones watching over their homes.
The whole town. The whole town. The whole town. The cry of yes, I share a scaffold fee in the wall because I'm to no matter to call down test.
Are you supposed to live here knowing the area falls in the radius of the dam? This area is not part. The spillage is just too much.
I say when there too much damage, we are too much.
Has any official been here? No.
What are you doing about your situation? There's very little we can do now. We are now moving our belongings, and our last result will be that we'll move our items into the road. Have you heard anything from the Ghana Water Company Limited? No, we have not heard anything from them. What we are hearing is that they will open the dam more. So that is likely to get worse than what it is now. The water was further away this morning, and now it has gotten to this point, which means they have spilled more of the excess water.
Since I came here.
How long have you been here?
18 years. I was here 18 years now. Have you experienced this thing before? The government should do something about it. They should do something about it, and not much should come to our aid to help us. Because where we are now, we are here for a loan. Look at the story building over there, and the buildings over here, big ones, all has flooded.
So that is the situation of residents here at Weija. It is quite bad. So these are the students of the Weija DAJHS, and they have joined in the evacuation of properties. These are young students who I believe are helping some of the residents affected by this flooding. I will try and speak to some of these students to find out from them what has prompted their efforts this morning. Hello, come. How are you? What's your name?
My name is Susie Ted.
Whose properties are you moving?
Please, I'm moving my classmate's mother's property.
Your classmate has been affected, so you are helping her?
Please, yes.
Oh, okay. And have you been affected by the flood?
Please, no.
These are students of the Weija DAJHS, and they are helping out some of their mates and colleagues whose homes have been flooded. Please evacuate their properties, and it's quite a heartwarming situation amidst this whole situation. They are frantically at it, helping their colleagues. Come. What's your name? Whose properties are you moving? Where's Mensa? Okay, so we'll go and speak to Mensa.
Please, her mother is there.
Okay. So Mensa is a student of Weija DAJHS. Her home is being flooded, and in solidarity, her colleagues from her school have joined to evacuate. Mommy,
it happened suddenly, and I have young children with nobody to help me evacuate my things. So I had to beg young students and their teachers to help me. Unfortunately, some of the things have been flooded. My children are also in school, so their colleagues came to help me. We have saved some of our belongings, but the water has carried some away. I have really been affected. I rented this house exactly a month ago. I inquired from the landlord if the area is flood prone, but he assured me it doesn't flood here. 2 weeks after I moved in, it rained here. I was in town, and when I got home, the house was flooded to my knee level. It happened again just this Saturday, and I complained to the landlord. She assured me she would do something about it. But when the dam was open, it looked threatening, so I sent my kids away to go sleep somewhere else. And by morning, the water entered our room. As I speak to you now, the water has taken away my 1,500 cedis, and by God's grace, I have been able to salvage some of my belongings, but my 1,500 is missing. The landlord has left with her husband since yesterday without saying anything.
So our mother here says she's lost properties and money worth over 1,500 Ghana cedis. She rented the room just a little over a month ago, and this is what has happened to her. And then I see Andra.
Yesterday I was home when the area started flooding. My house is a story building behind the park, so I decided to leave. I even fell in the water while attempting to escape and had to be rescued by some men. I returned today to retrieve my properties, but the entire place is engulfed in water. I have lost everything, including 10 bags of rice I had purchased for my business. This site even looks better. My house is back there where the situation is very bad. This is really painful.
So some 3 days ago, the Ghana Water Company Limited started spilling excess water from the Weija Dam. This has resulted in flooding in several communities around the Weija area. Areas like Tetegu and all other places have seen significant cases of flooding. I have with me now one of the landlords in the Weija area, Mr. Elvis, to speak to him about the impact of this situation. Mr. Elvis, as a landlord, how has this affected you and your tenants and other residents of Weija?
It has affected us much because we didn't anticipate that this thing will come to this extent. Because they normally open, the last time that this type of spillage came was 1999. As I can remember in 2003 there. But this one is very serious. Because I don't know what the engineer was waiting before opening this thing, because I learned this thing happened Saturday. Saturday, the volume of water in Koforidua and so forth was much. And this spill on this thing, how they call it, Kofodua surroundings and so forth. The road, some of the distance were flooded, and so there are shops and so forth. But now I can say, so they even, I don't know whether they didn't listen or they didn't have information about it. They waited from Saturday up to Sunday before opening this, and this has affected a lot of people in this very area. As I'm speaking, we are in Weija now. It has affected a lot of people in Weija, and going to Tetegu and so forth and so forth, Choice and so forth. Oh, everybody is affected. So I may think that some people didn't work well. That's what I will say.
You seem to be blaming the Ghana Water Company, but then there's this concern of residents and people in Weija building in places they know that are prone to flooding, especially when the dam is spilled. As a landlord, if you hear this kind of arguments or issues being raised, what will be your answer?
Oh, well, I may not say they are right, because as we are expanding, the population in Ghana is expanding, and there's no land, and some of the places we are not prone to that, but this one has been roping too much. So the first they tell us that just minute, but every spillage they have a canal which pass through, but this one it has overflowed its bank, which we may say that is not proper how they do their things.
Talking about properly doing their things, that's in the case of the Ghana Water Company Limited. Did you get any prior notice ahead of the spillage? No.
It was only last Sunday before we heard that they are coming to open the thing. That was in the morning also and the afternoon. But in the morning, I may say these things happen in Kofodua, and the dam is in Kofodua. We have Densu River coming from Kofodua. They saw it, that place has been full. So the moment that place full, they have to close it, open the end so that it will pass. So if like they open it in that Saturday morning and come in, this problem will not be. Though it is raining, but you have to open. But they are thinking that, oh, this thing it will shut their water. But I don't think that they did the fair work.
About the impact, what specifically can you mention in terms of properties and probably lives or whatever? What can you mention has been lost so far?
Oh, in property, there we may say a lot of properties have been destroyed. We can't be. We are thinking of human being now. Our properties, that one we can't count it, because full of thousands and money. We can't count our properties, but because our life. And we learned that in Tetegu, 4 lives have been lost now. And this is very bad. And Tetegu, per se, it's coming through the gutter. On the Tetegu main road, going to the township, it's not that they are near to the river, but it's coming. It passed through the gutter to their homes.
So the Weija Dam runs through several communities in the Weija area. Areas like Tetegu, as it stands now, have been badly impacted. Various means are being deployed by the residents to salvage their properties and safeguard their lives as well. And for the likes of Mr. Elvis and other residents of Weija, they are hopeful that the situation will subside in due time for their lives to return to normal. This has been a special episode of Say It Loud on GhanaWeb TV with me, George Isi. Special thanks to my cameraman, Mr. Kwame Ajaho. Until we meet for our next episode. Bye.
The media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As you are aware, in recent weeks we've seen a lot of positive stories on BOS in the newspaper, and they are positive because for the first time we've seen such a massive turnout in terms of declaration of profits and dividends to the states. We have been so excited that it's very important that we invite the MD and hear from the horse's own mouth as to what they have done to get to where we are today and what the future holds for BOST. So we have called you at the instance of the MD so that he will give us just an update on what is happening at the institution and where they are going from here. So I wouldn't waste my time, but before I invite the MD to the podium, with your kind permission, I would like to acknowledge some dignitaries who are with us this morning. We have with us the General Manager in charge of Corporate Communications and External Affairs, Mr. Ajay Malik. If you are here, we acknowledge you. We also have with us the Executive Assistant to the MD, Mami Pokua Apia. We have with us the General Manager World Trading, Mr. Albert Mante. And as I mentioned earlier, we have with us Mr. Edwin Alfred Neobodai Provincial, who is the MD for BOST. So I will invite MD for his presentation and we will come back to you for your questions.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Minister. This is the second time I've been invited to this august house and to engage Ghanaians through the media on BOST. I think the first time was somewhere last year, in 2021, when I learned my biggest lesson that you don't come and say you've made profit when the audited accounts are not out yet. Even though we did we had some serious improvements at that time. A revaluation provision took us to a loss in 2020. But 2021 is extremely different. So with your permission, I have some slides and I would want to walk Ghanaians through the slides. And then thereafter, we can have some questions. So in terms of content, what I hope to do today is to remind you guys about what BOST does and the role BOST plays in the country. Then the second is to also refresh your mind again as to how BOST was in 2017, and then how BOST is today, and then also the way forward with BOST. So with our mandate, we have three key mandates. The first mandate is to build a network of infrastructure. By that, they mean storage pipes, storage tanks and pipelines, and then some barges and anything that would enable the efficient distribution and transportation of petroleum products across the country. BOST plays a very critical role in ensuring price parity across the country. I'm sure you know that the price of gas oil in Accra, when you travel all the way to the north, the price still is the same across the OMCs. And BOST plays a critical role in doing that. In transporting these products, we use three different media. Today we use pipelines, which is the cheapest transportation medium. We also use barges across the Akosombo Lake. That's the next expensive. And then if we had rail, that would be the next level, but we don't have rail transport. The most expensive transport is the bulk road vehicles, which is BRVs. So these are the transportation media we use. In terms of storage, we have tank farms across the length and breadth of the country that can store an equivalent of 421,000 cubic meters, almost 362,000 metric tons. So that is how we achieve our first mandate. The second mandate is to ensure that we provide petroleum security for the nation that can last at least 6 weeks expandable to 12 weeks. This mandate, we are not too proud how we have executed this mandate, because providing petroleum security is like an insurance product for the nation and for the citizens of Ghana. And I'm sure you're aware that for an insurance product, there's a premium attached. Unfortunately, in 2006, that premium, which was the strategic reserve levy, was taken out of the petroleum price buildup. So anytime I'm asked whether we have storage, real storage, I say we don't have storage. We don't have strategic storage. But what we have is we have some stocks in the tanks, which the banks give us instruments and loans to bring into the country, but we can't buy that and just store, because we have to pay back the monies. So we sell it frequently and pay back the money. So we think there has to be a conversation around the funding of Ghana's strategic reserves. But today, I can promise that we have about 13 days of reserves. But then outside BOST, there are other BDCs who have storage in their tank farms. And so when you put all of that together, we have between 50 and 55 days of reserve in the country. So we are nowhere near running out of fuel. But in terms of BOST executing this mandate to the letter, there's no funds to bring in the fuel to store. So that's on the second mandate. On the third mandate, it's a pure commercial mandate, which is to bring in, import the fuel, and because BOST is placed in a very strategic location where we have a lot of landlocked countries at the top, Burkina, Mali, Niger, amongst others, we can also export to earn some foreign exchange and also make some money for the country. So these are the three main mandates we have. And you can see clearly that apart from the third mandate, the first two mandates, some social services to it. Even though BOST is a limited liability company which is solely to make profit, we have some social dimensions to our mandate. So for example, building these petroleum infrastructure across the length and breadth of the country, even though we sell some of the we lease some of the infrastructure out, a huge chunk of the infrastructure is built in locations where they are not profitable. So there is a social cost to those investments. And I'm sure in the wisdom of the founders of BOST, that is what birthed the BOST margin. So the BOST margin is to help support BOST in executing the first and then the second mandate. If you look at the second mandate as well, it's purely a social mandate, because no profit-making entity will just buy products and store. So that is why also there was a levy, strategic reserve levy, that has been today taken out of the price build-up since 2006. And hopefully we'll find a better way of funding that strategic reserves. In terms of our mission and vision, it is clear. We want to be the best at what we do, and want to do it safely by ensuring that we do not do it at a loss. Because the more we do run this business at a loss, whatever money comes in will eventually dwindle and will grind to a halt. In terms of our values, we want to be passionate about what we do. We want to focus on performance, build a very high performance culture, and then we want to do everything we do with high integrity. What you see on the slides now is the BOST network. We have a network of tanks and terminals and pipelines across the length and breadth of the country. We have a storage of about 421,000 cubic meters, across 6 depots. Tema, which is in, you know where Tema is, Crab Depot in Tema. Then we have Akosombo, we have Mami Water, we have Kumasi, and then we have a depot in Buipe, and then a depot in Bolga. Bolga is our export station. So Bolga is where most of the exports should be taking place. Between Buipe and Bolga, we have a booster station because the pipeline is very long, the pressure goes down. And so you need a booster station to boost the pressure so that it will get to the destination. So what happens is that when the cargo comes or the products come on the Atlantic Ocean, it gets to Tema. If it is crude oil, you can see clearly that there's Tor there. So if it is crude oil, the products are pumped to Tor for Tor to refine, and when Tor refines very well, the products get into our tanks in APD. And it's from APD that we distribute the products across the country. And from APD, it gets to the north through Mami Water and Akosombo. We have 4 barges on the Akosombo Lake and a tugboat. And once the products are pumped into the barges, then the tugboat pulls the products along the Akosombo Lake all the way to Buipe. And once it gets to Buipe, it serves the whole northern regions. And then in order to access it at Bolga, it is also pumped through our pipeline to Bolga. So in a nutshell, this is the BOST network that we have to leverage on to ensure that the will of the people of Ghana is achieved through the three mandates. So yes, I haven't given you the background. BOST was formed in 1993. I think that's the only thing I left out. So I've been giving you the background. Let me let you appreciate what we came to meet in 2017. Because once you appreciate that, you will now appreciate the effort we have put in place till date. So I'll just run you through a quick update on a quick review of our challenges pre-2017. They are grouped into 3. So I have the financials, and then I have the infrastructure bit, and then I have the compliance bit. So I'll start with the financials. So when we came in, we had a trade liability or a trade debt, which meant that people had sold products to BOST and BOST owed them some money, up to $624 million US. Let me repeat. We had a trade liability of $624 million US as a company. Not only that, we had some domestic debt as well that we had to look for money to pay, amounting to 416 million Ghana cedis. So imagine taking over a company and then all of a sudden realizing that, wow, I owe people $624 million US. Not only that, but you also owe local banks 416 million Ghana cedis. That's a Herculean task. And then you go forward and you realize that, no, not only that, there were some bulk distribution companies, BDCs, who had brought in products to BOST. And when they were coming for their products, some of the products had shot. It had either evaporated or, I don't know. But the products were not there. And when they did the assessment in 2018, 2017, thereabouts, it was equivalent to $37 million US. So not only you owed people, your suppliers, $624 million, not only you owed banks, local banks, 416 million Ghana cedis, you also had BDCs that you had to look for $37 million to pay. We also had a capex liability of $106 million US, which arose out of an EXIM loan that was granted BOST. Out of that loan, We had bought some pipelines that were stuck in the US since 2008. So that was a snapshot of the liabilities, our balance sheet. Money we had to look for, money the company didn't have. Boss capitalization is only 500,000 cedis. So even if they sell the whole company and say they want to use it to pay for all these things, all they could get was around 500,000 cedis, because that was our capitalization, with a lot of losses made over the years. In terms of our revenue earning assets, which are the assets I talked about earlier that Boss needed to use to make some money, because for the tank farms we rent it out. When we rent the tank farms, BDCs who don't have storage, we charge them a little fee. The pipelines, instead of using the road, when we use the pipeline, the monies that should have gone to the tanker owners, a fraction of it comes to Boss, because the pipeline is the cheapest mode of transportation. Our barges, when we use our barges for transportation as well, the monies that should have gone to the transport owners, a fraction of it also comes to Boss as we use our own infrastructure. So when Boss becomes efficient, when Boss starts using its own infrastructure, Boss makes money. And when Boss makes money, the people of Ghana makes money. The company runs very well. However, that is to the detriment of some other section of our brothers and sisters in this country who may not be happy because the volumes that would normally accrue to them to lift on the road comes into Boss. So as of 2017, 100% of our 364-kilometer pipeline was out of service. That meant that we could not make money from the pipeline. 100% of our barges were out of service. That meant that not only the pipelines were getting zero revenue, the barges as well were getting zero revenue, because 100% of the barge infrastructure was out of service. We have 51 tanks where we store fuel in, and 15 out of the 51 tanks, 30% of that was also out of service. So we could only leverage on just 36 or something tanks, 34 something tanks for our business. 50% of our depots in Mame Water, Akosombo, and Borga was also totally out of service. So look at how much money you owe, and the assets that could generate some income for you as well was totally out of service. So basically, there was no way you could generate funds to even start paying off these guys we owed. When you look at the regulatory side, we hadn't audited our accounts from 2015 to 2016. That meant that even if you wanted to go for any facility from a bank or anywhere, you didn't have the books required for them to look at your performance to say, yes, you can pay back the loan, so let me loan you some money. Also, it was during this 2015, 2016 when the accounts hadn't been audited, when bonuses were being paid to staff. So one would ask, on what basis were these bonuses being paid when the accounts hadn't been audited? We also had a tax liability, 47 million Ghana cedis. This was over a certain period we hadn't paid. And then we had a contingent liability. A lot, because of Boss' financial situation, a lot of companies have taken us to court. And if those cases, if Boss lost BOST would have to look for 161 million Ghana cedis to pay these guys as a result of the bad cases we had. We didn't have money. There were some lands we had bought. We paid some advance. We hadn't paid the rest. People had brought in their products. They had gone missing. They are taking. So all these things were there. And then, you remember I said that because BOST built their infrastructure in unprofitable areas in the country, in the wisdom of the founders of BOST, what they did was they voted a particular margin, and it's called a BOST margin, so that it would assist BOST take care of the infrastructure located in the very unprofitable areas like Mami Water, Kosomo, Budbe, Bolga. I mean, I don't see any of my BDC friends who are building their tank farms in Tema, which is the most profitable area, building anywhere outside Tema. So in the wisdom of the founders of BOST, that margin was voted. Now, in 2011, that margin was 3 pesos. Fast forward to 2019, the margin was still 3 pesos. It meant that that margin had lost almost all its value. It had lost 82% of its value, basically, because we live in an inflationary environment. The cedi, a lot of our inputs for maintenance are denominated in dollars. The cedi in 2011 is, the cedi to dollar ratio in 2011 is way different from the cedi to dollar ratio in 2019. So this is what bedeviled BOST when we took over. The culture was not too interesting. So you can see on the slide there some of our infrastructure that were idling and rotting away. Can you go back, please? Yes. So you could see on your top left, you could see our 1967 technology batteries that was supposed to power, that was supposed to, a UPS system that was supposed to hold the depot when the power goes off until the generator picks up. That was totally out of service. Our tugboat, a new tugboat we had bought in the bottom left corner, a new tugboat in Debre. It was rotting away in Debre. You can see some pumps that had been decommissioned, some tank farms rotting away. Our barges, BOST 3 and 4, you can see those barges that had been decommissioned. And so basically, this was the company, the state of your company called BOST in 2017. Not only did we have that, even though instead of using the monies to fix the infrastructure, we had also started investing in other projects. So there was very high capital work in progress. And you all know that if you start any project and you don't complete it, you cannot monetize the project. It sits in your books as an asset, but it's an asset that is earning zero revenue. And so about $57 million had been invested in infrastructure, pipeline infrastructure, that was stuck in Houston. Those are the pipelines and the skids you can see on the screen there. We had also started a project, a depot upgrade project, about $20-something million. And the containers there had some equipment in there, but the project had stalled because we didn't have money. You all remember the $39 million head office wahala. We had started a head office project, and when you mix politics with business, sometimes they don't go well. The project stalled till 2022. So this was the state, and it made our balance sheet look good, but you had a lot of assets not bringing you revenue. Next. So fast forward to today, what have we done and what is the state of your company called BOST? So the first one is that out of the 624 million US dollars, sorry, out of the out of the 460 million Ghana cedis, we've paid 98% of that money. The outstanding, it's about, the outstanding on that, we paid 92% with about 32 million cedis outstanding of that money. Now, out of the 624 million US dollars, we've paid all of it. 100% of that money is paid. Now, the BDCs, who claimed we owe them 37 million US dollars, we conducted a forensic audit, and thanks to my predecessor, he had put in place a team to look into this 37 million liability. What I did when I came was I invited Yoko and I invited the national security to be part of this team. And God being so good, this team did a wonderful job. They saved this country 26 million US dollars because that 37 million US dollars, when they finished the work, which took about 9 months, all these BDCs who claimed we owe them $37 million all signed to the fact that it wasn't $37 million, but we owed only 10-point-something million. We've also audited our accounts. I have signed a 2015 account, 2016 account, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021 accounts. So now in terms of compliance, we've caught up, and we are happy about that. In terms of the 47 million tax arrears, I can tell you today that we don't owe GRA. We don't have any arrears with GRA. We are up to date. I'm sure you all witnessed our annual general meeting, which is one out of a very long time that we have done to report to the people of Ghana our performance. And we are happy that it was very transparent as well. Our Tema to Akosombo pipe, our Buipe to Bolga pipeline, we have repaired it, and we are happy to let you know that the Bolga depot now is working, so we are able to have some exports through Bolga to some neighboring countries. Our Tema to Akosombo pipeline, we have repaired it, only that we have decided we are not going to use it now because we don't have ice on the pipeline. What do I mean by that? Anytime you push water into the pipeline, 100% of the water gets to the other end. But anytime you push petroleum products, it looks like there are some dwarfs on the way that feed on those pipelines. So we have decided that we are not going to use the pipeline until we put the electronic ice on it. So we are installing a leak detection system that would detect any leak on the pipeline, and an intrusion detection system that can tell us as soon as anybody tries getting close to the pipeline, an alarm will sound, and then in collaboration with the security agencies, we will know exactly where the attempt is being made. We've also decided to buy the military and the security agents some military-grade drones so that they can use the drones to monitor this critical national infrastructure. Yes, so I've talked about a lot of the repairs. There's a lot of operational efficiency happening, and because of a lot of the repairs of the pumps, loading arms, the infrastructure, it used to take us 4 hours to turn around a truck that came into our system. As you and I speak, we have managed to reduce the 4 hours to 1 hour 30 minutes. That is operational efficiency. It also used to take us almost 7 days to load all our barges. But we did some re-engineering and some replacement of equipment, valves, etc. at Akosombo. And what that has done is that it has enabled us to reduce the badge turnaround time from 7 days to almost 1.5 days. That is huge operational efficiency. So we're able to do more in less time. Because of all of these things, our revenue earning assets, which was hovering around 18%, is now at almost 95% as we speak. And our asset utilization has also improved a little. These are the hard stuff, but there are some soft stuff as well we have done. We've put in place some 15 policies. You know, in every organization, what really helps build the culture or change the culture is policies and procedures. And so the board has signed off 15 new policies that is now guiding our behavior in the company. And I can say that is one of the key drivers of performance in our company. Some of the policies include a bonus policy, an HR policy, a finance policy, how money is spent, field operations policy, health and safety policy, ethics policy, amongst others. So 15 new policies have been implemented. We've also put in place a risk and compliance unit that would ensure that we identify risks and also mitigate them before they become challenges. With respect to expanding the business, we want to build a pipeline from Accra to Kumasi. We know that pipeline will cause a lot of problems by dislodging a lot of the transport owners out of business. So the Minister of Energy has directed that we have to ensure that 20% of equity in that project is given to the transport owners. That means that the transport owners will be invited to invest so that as they get displaced on the road, because the pipeline is also a transportation medium, just like their trucks, they can also have some ownership in the pipeline and not lose out completely. We've also decided to build LPG tank farms across all our depots. I'm sure yesterday you heard the Director General the CEO of NPA talking about LPG. LPG is going to be our transition fuel, moving away from the dirty ones to renewables. In the middle, the gas can help a lot. And so we are also helping to facilitate these objectives by building new tanks, LPG tank farms in the 4 depots. The front-end engineering design or FEED is ongoing for the LPG project. The Kumasi pipeline FEED is ready. And so we'll start the procurement process very soon to identify a partner who will then build, own, operate, and transfer to us after a certain number of years. Yes. So, having said all these things, one will ask, and so what? You've done all these things, and so what's in it for Ghana? Has Ghana benefited? Internally, we know what we have done, and we are proud of how operationally efficient we have become. Looking at where we are coming from, where we had 0% of our barges working, now we have 100% working. 0% of our pipelines, now we have 100% working. 15 tanks not working, now we have only 3 tanks not working. We've repaired 12 out of the 15. We've been operationally efficient. I mean, it took 4 hours. Now we are doing the same work in 1.5 hours. It took 7 days to load barges. Now we're doing it in less than 2 days. So internally, we know what we have done. But for the shareholders, which is the people of Ghana, who invariably own Boston, what's in it for them, and what is the bottom line? So what we have here is the revenue, the top line. And the reason why I brought this slide is to let the public see the correlation between the efficiency and the revenues. Because some of our friends on the other side, as well as our friends brothers and sisters say that, oh, it's only the boss margin increase that's giving them some revenue. But if you look at this slide and you look at the trend from 2017 coming, you can see clearly that if you look at the marine transport, for example, that's the last row. If you look at the last row, you can see it's been zero from 2016, 0, 0, 0. 2019, it was even zero. The budget started working in 2020, late part of 2020, and you can see some revenue number there. And then it worked the full year, almost 9 months of 2021. And you can see a 5-time jump from almost 3 million to almost 15 million Ghana cedis. So that is the direct relationship between the repair of the barges and then the income. You can also look at the storage and rack. You can see that as of 2018, when it was 16 million, the revenues were 16 million. We started repairing the tanks, and you can see it's grown gradually, organically, from 16 to 38 to 50.4 to 52.6. So you can see a gradual increment, and it's related to the monies we invested to repair. If you look at the product sales as well, the years we had our highest product sales was in 2016, and I really commend the managers of the company at that time in terms of the revenue, because that was the year we made 3 billion Ghana cedis, our highest revenue ever in the history of this company. But you can see that once you start building liabilities and the market starts losing confidence in you, your product sales starts reducing because you owe a lot of people. And so over time, from 2016, you can see a drastic decrease to 3 billion to 264 million Ghana cedis. And then we gradually started building the confidence again in the marketplace. And from 2020 to 2021, you can see almost double the amount we did. So this goes to show you that, yes, boss margin plays a role, but only 34% of that revenue in 2021. And so boss margin cannot only account for everything. Also, don't forget that the boss margin comes at a cost. That cost is a social cost, which is to help manage and maintain the infrastructure as well as build new ones if you have surplus. Without the boss margin, the wisest thing to do will be to take out that cost as well, so that then Edwin and his team will just also focus on Accra Tema. But the moment we do that, the country loses, and all of you will be paying more than you have to pay for fuel, because there's a transportation cost, there's a storage cost in those areas that has to be borne by someone. And that is the essence of the boss margin. We couldn't have done all these things without the Ministry of Energy and NPA, supported by the civil society organizations who initially were against the increment of the boss margin. If you remember, in 2019, all of 2019, the boss margin was increased by Honorable John Peter Meu's era. But then the CSOs were not happy. And so within 3-4 days, it was reversed. You remember? Yes. And so we realized that we hadn't done some serious stakeholder engagement. So we went to the CSOs, engaged them. They went round to see the state of the dilapidated assets. And then they came to an agreement with BOST that before we can see our assets are rotting, but before we allow this increment, let's have an agreement that you will come and account to us periodically what you're doing with the money, so that Ghanaians will have value for money. So we agreed with them, and then they became our advocates, and we asked for. The reason why we asked pesewas was that in 2011, the 3 pesewas in 2011 was equivalent to 2 cents. So when we made our case to the ministry, we said, Minister, just give us the 2 cents equivalent in 2019. The minister, and that 2 cents equivalent in 2019 was 12 pesewas. The minister said no way. He wasn't going to burden Ghanaians unnecessarily. So even though we asked for 12 pesewas, what they gave us was 6 pesewas, half of what we got. And it was interpreted as having increased boss margin by 100%. But guess what? That little money we got, we used it very wisely to achieve the numbers you're seeing now. So imagine we had gotten all the 12 pesewas. We could have done way better. On the screen is a snapshot of our 2016 to 2021 financials. I said earlier that the years we made our highest revenue was in 2016. And it's boss dream today to get to the 2016 numbers in terms of the top line very soon. And we believe that by end of next year, we should be hitting that 3. But look at the items in red. There's a line item called administrative expenses. The year we made our highest revenue is the year we made our highest administrative expense. Do you see that? And in 2016, it was the year we made our highest loss of 459 million Ghana cedis. So we set record in all areas in 2016. We made our highest revenue in 2016. We made our highest operating expense in 2016. And then we made our highest loss in 2016. Fast forward that to, and look at the staff strength in 2016. It was lower, 347 people in 2016. Now fast forward to 2021. In 2021, our revenue is not up to the 3 billion. I'm sure you can see that. In 2021, our revenue is just a little over 1 billion Ghana cedis. But look at our administrative expenses. Our administrative expenses in 2021, even with an increased number of staff, our administrative expenses is less than half that of the 2016 number. Now let me ask you a question. In this environment, do costs keep going down or they go up? We should have been budgeting for maybe a 1 billion administrative expense, and that would be normal. But look, and this is operational efficiency. This is putting your money to real good use. Because even though time, inflation, depreciation happens, even though staff numbers have increased, our administrative expenses have halved. And if you come and look at the bottom line, we have made 160 million Ghana cedis, thereabout, profit after tax. So imagine we made the same 3 billion. Our profit will be hovering around 1.5 billion or 1.6 billion Ghana cedis. And this is money that will get back into the economy. And we are very proud of what we've done. My team and I, including the board, is very proud of this achievement. And we are happy that the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, really had confidence in us and retained us to deliver this value for Mother Ghana. Next slide. So this next slide shows, I brought this slide to help explain standards and the intellectual dishonesty sometimes you hear on radio on the boss margin, etc. The blue line is our revenues. So you can see the blue line. You can see clearly that the blue line After a while, they went to the highest revenue in 2016, and then the blue columns. And then the revenue reduced, and it's picked up gradually, according to in 2021. The green line is the profit. You can see there's been losses, at least for the first time. After a while, we've made the green line, which is some profit, and we are happy. But my interest on this slide is on the red curve. The red curve shows the percentage of boss margin to total revenue. So the boss margin contribution to total revenue across time. And you can see from 2011, 2012, the boss margin to total revenue was hovering around 41% and 47% and 51%. If you add them, you get about 49% on the average. In 2021, the boss margin contribution to total revenue is 34%, way lower than the contribution in those years. So sometimes when the arguments are made, they are not facts and figures, because when you look at the facts and figures from the audited accounts, 41, when it was 47%, 51%, the profits that was made there was around 12 million, 11 million. When it is 34% contribution, we are making a profit of 160 million Ghana cedis. That is real operational efficiency, and that is something that I think people should know. Thank you. Next slide. So, having described where we're coming from, what we did with the resources you gave us, and then the outcome in terms of performance, what is the way forward? I think that's very critical, because we've now crossed the zero mark, and we can't keep talking about the past. So next year when I come, I will not talk about 2017. I'll talk about 2021, where we were in 2021 and where we are going in the future. We're done with the past. We have paid all the debts. We have repaired all the infrastructure. We are happy. We paid bonus to our staff because it's in their collective bargaining agreement that when the company makes profit, a portion of it should be given back to staff as motivation. So for those of you who have brothers and sisters in Boston who haven't told you that they've made bonus, they've collected some nice money, please, for the wives of the boss staff, for the girlfriends of the boss staff, please go and collect your portion. So, way forward. So, our strategy hasn't changed. We are still going to be pursuing our strategy with laser-focused attention. Our strategy is basically twofold. We want to enhance operational efficiency, which we have started, and you can see the operational efficiency. We're going to keep doing that a lot. But now the focus now will start moving from operational efficiency to aggressively growing the business. And that is why we talked about the LPG, new product in existing market. That is why we talked about exports. The guy in charge of exports is sitting here. He's supposed to ensure that he quadruples our export business, because that is what will help this country a lot. In terms of forex, we don't need to go and look for forex to bring in oil, because we sell in dollars, we collect our money in dollars. So that pressure on finance and the Bank of Ghana for forex will go down, and we believe we can play a key role. We are also building new pipelines. That will be a new route in an existing market. That would enhance our fortunes as well. So it's very simple. Continually become operationally efficient, and then grow the business for the people of Ghana. But we can't do any of this without building a good brand. At least the brand has improved a little. Because when I came in, my staff were not happy wearing their tags, their name tags in town. But now that we've made profit, all my tags want to wear the boss t-shirt and walk around town to show that, yes. So the brand is changing. So we're happy about that. But there's a lot of work to do to sustain that, to ensure that our ethics policies, our HR policies work. No favoritism, become performance focused. When you deliver, you make money. When you don't deliver, you don't make any money. So we're going to build a great brand and also build a good performance management culture. My staff and I, including the board, believe in meritocracy. So we're going to make sure that we extract a lot of value from the people you have mandated us to pay, but we'll get the value from them to ensure that we grow this business. So in a nutshell, this is our strategy, and those are the projects supporting the strategy. So you can see there's some green. Those ones, we've executed them. There are some white ones which we'll do next year, and then there's some red ones which has delayed, but we are getting back on track. So, next slide. The focus for next year actually is re-export. And I'm very passionate about this re-export because the absorption capacity for Ghana is small. But then there's a $970 million opportunity in Burkina Faso and Mali. And we want to tap into that. But in order to do that, we need a multi-sectorial approach. And I'm happy to let you know that the Minister of Energy is leading this discussion to ensure that all the non-tariff barriers that reduce our potential are removed by NPA so that we can really aggressively grow the exports. The benefits of this will be huge in terms of, imagine we're getting $450 million out of this export. That's $450 million we don't need Bank of Ghana or Ministry of Finance to go and look for, to erode our reserves, to give to BOST. This is money that would come to BOST as cash, and that we can use it to bring in the products to BOST. So in the next few years, we're going to be heavily focused on this, and we hope that the obstacles in the re-export business is dealt with. Now, why am I passionate about this? In Singapore, if you look at where Singapore is not surrounded by landlocked countries because the sea touches a lot of countries around Singapore. But Singapore has deliberately positioned itself for re-export, intentionally. So Singapore, in 2021, their oil re-export was equivalent to $40 billion. How much is Ghana's GDP? Singapore's their total trade is $1.2 trillion, out of which 40 billion, not million, billion US comes from oil re-export. Ghana is so fortunate that you have a lot of countries who depend on Ghana, who is close to the sea. So we have to be intentional about this re-export strategy because it can really put Ghana on a certain level. This $1 billion, if we are intentional about it, I can promise Ghana that we can bring in almost 30 to 40% of that money to help cushion the depreciation of the city. So I guess that's the last slide. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And Madam Minister, thank you very much for inviting us. Thank you to the President once again. Thank you to the Honorable Minister, Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Thank you to National Petroleum Authority. Thank you to SIGA. Thank you to the Auditor General, who, without him identifying the flaws in BOST, the audit, we would not have put all those processes in place. Thank you to my board of directors, led by Mr. Ekow, whose focus on performance is par excellence. Thank you to the other board members. Thank you to my staff. Because guess what? These same people who were there in 2017 are the same people there today doing these wonders. And so I say thank you to them, because without them, I mean, I'm not the one going to monitor the tank farms and transfer products left, right, center. They are the ones doing the job. And thank you to Mother Ghana for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
And thank you for the insightful presentation, MD. If there is something that really, hit me in course of your presentation, it was the fact that you are making money or generating revenue doesn't mean you have to spend the revenue. It means you still have to be prudent and efficient in terms of financial management. Make sure you plug that the economic development of the country. I was also fascinated by the fact that revenue directly depends on repairs and maintenance of the infrastructure that we have in the sector. And just to note that you've been able to repair and spray all 4 barges, repair 12 out of 15 tanks, including tanks in Kumasi, APD, Bupe, and Bogatanga, that you have been able to clear all tax arrears and ensure that there is equitable distribution of oil products to all parts of the country because of your operations. On behalf of Ghanaians, I also say thank you for your role in ensuring that when we go to the pump, we get oil. So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I will invite you, if you have any question for the MD of BOST, this is the best time to ask. If we see your hand, we'll bring the microphone to you. You mention your name and media house and proceed to ask your question. Okay.
Thank you. I'm impressed with the presentation. But I have a few questions. My name is Atamensa from GNE. Yeah. And so, apart from the bust margin that help the company in repairing those infrastructures, where other sources did you get money in those investments? Maybe you can tell, maybe you borrowed money from somewhere to help in repairing the pipelines and then farm tanks. Then the operational deficiencies that were happening from 2012 to 2016, I realized a lot of efficiency going on. So I want to find out whether the audit that you conducted were able to implicate some people who were the cause of these efficiencies, the deficiencies. Yeah, if you're able to tell us. Then, the world is talking about energy transition, and they want us to use clean energy, use nuclear, use electricity in even our cars by even 2030. That is the projection. How is BOST positioning yourself so that you don't lose out? We want BOST to work so that we get money. How are you positioning yourself so that we don't lose out? Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Nana.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. Professor. There used to be a case where Ghanaians were hearing something like contaminated oil from BOST. That was a very worrying situation, worrying trend. How have you dealt with that situation to, as it were, nip it in the bud, if something like that has happened before? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Nanapo.
Thank you, Mr. Professor. The last time you appeared here, you spoke about some procured pipelines that were locked up in Texas. I would want to find out what's the status. Have we been able to bring them down? Have they been installed? Did it play any role in improving your revenue generation? Thank you very much. The name is Cliff, Ghanaian Times.
Okay, we can take 2 more questions. I can see Sarah's hand.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Apenkra. I report for TV3. MD, please, you mentioned that there are still conversations ongoing to find source or fund to buy the fuel for the strategic reserve. I want to find out how soon would this be resolved and what are the options available to the country. I also want to find out the fuel available in our strategic stock. How many weeks will it take to finish?
Thank you for the question. Any other question? Okay, MD, I think that's the last one.
Thank you, Madam Minister. Thank you for your questions as well. So, Mr. Atamenza, GNA, I'm happy you asked your first question because I nearly forgot the immense role National Procurement Authority played in our journey. So NPA gave us a loan as well, almost 30 million cedis, and that helped us a lot in especially fixing the pipeline and then the bulk depot before the bus margin was approved. We are still paying back the loan with interest to the regulator, and so we say thank you. That's why I thank them very well, but this was the reason why I thank them. So in terms of other sources, yes, NPA. No bank was willing to lend us any money. No bank. Because the state in which the company was, don't forget that we also owed the banks a lot of money, 416 million Ghana cedis. So if you are the managing director of any of those banks, there's no way you would increase your risk with busts. So it was NPA and then the people of Ghana through the bust margin who came to our rescue. And so that's what happened. In terms of operational deficiencies, you said that the audit implicate people. Yes, a lot of the people who caused a lot of the mess, a lot of them had already resigned. Those that were found culpable were disciplined. I mean, there's currently, every time there's today, because of the audit findings, every time there's a disciplinary procedure ongoing. And as I speak to you, there are a lot of about 6 or 7 disciplinary procedures ongoing in BOST. And if the people are found culpable, as per the collective bargaining agreement, they shall be dealt with. That is the only way you can change the culture. If people do stuff like that and you don't discipline them, then there's a problem. But you have to do it within the framework of the collective bargaining agreement to garner the support of all stakeholders, especially the unions. So we are working on that. Your last question was on energy transition. How is BOST positioning so we don't lose out? My personal opinion on energy transition is that, when you talk about transition, it means that you are moving from A to B. It's not going to happen. What's going to happen is a gradual evolution. We are not going to. There's no energy in this world today that can compete with oil and gas. There's no energy in this world today that is reliable, plentiful, and available. No energy. The sun is not available 24 hours. The wind is not available 24 hours. They are all intermittent. And they are all very expensive sources of power. So I think the strategy should be an evolution, gradual evolution. And I'm sure you heard me talk about the transition fuel, which is the LPG and the gas. So BOST putting in place infrastructure to take its rightful position in the transition journey. We are also going to we started building a lot of carbon sinks across the length and breadth of the country. We are partnering Forestry Commission, etc. Once they start the carbon trading, we'll take some points from the carbon trading to enable us also access some green financing out there. We know that the portfolio of funds will dwindle from dirty investments in dirty fuel to cleaner fuels. But as we gather our carbon credits, we should be able to use some to do some of these projects. So that is how we are positioning. Also, the Ministry of Energy has launched the Petroleum Hub. I'm sure you know about the Petroleum Hub. There's a Petroleum Hub authority or company that has been set up. We are positioned in there. in terms of the storage and then the transportation infrastructure in the downstream sector. So that is how we are handling that. To Nana Poku talked about contaminated oil from bust. How have we dealt with? Normally, I talked about 15 processes. That meant that there were no real processes in-house. So where you don't have a lot of processes, it's free for all. And people with innovative minds can do stuff, especially when they would benefit from it. And so contaminated fuel, I can promise you, will be a thing of the past. The last bit of the contamination that we have to deal with is our products in trucks. The products ownership moves from bust to the truck owners. The truck owners now have to move their product from one place to another before they hand it over to bust again. Now our challenge we are having is that during that journey, sometimes what you talk about can happen. And so we're leveraging technology. We are putting in place mini laboratories in the various depots to identify the contaminated through the journey. And once that is done, the drivers will be held accountable, handed over to the police, etc. With contamination within bust, I can tell you for a fact that it's not going to happen again, because the depots now have been outsourced to a third party. So it's like you're paying insurance. That third party, I don't think it's in its interest to supervise contamination, because he will pay heavily for that. And since they came, TSL came to bust in 2015, I can tell you for a fact that we haven't had any product loss or any of these contamination any of these contaminations. So we have a grip on the contamination, and it won't happen again. Cliff, you asked about the pipelines in Texas. Oh, where have you been? As at November 2020, those pipelines have been delivered to Ghana. So we brought the pipelines to Ghana. And in 2023, if you look at the projects, it's in part of our plans for 2023. We would install that pipeline between, it's a 12-inch pipeline. The strategy is that it has to, as volumes are growing, the current 6-inch pipeline cannot take all the volumes. So we would rather use the 6-inch pipeline to serve a different area between Easton and Volta, and then the 12-inch pipeline will go straight to Akosombo into the barges, and then it would serve the increasing volumes out there. So that is on our plan next year. Sarah, TV3, you talked about ongoing funds for strategic reserves, conversations. I don't want to preempt the policymaker, so I'm not going to answer that. I'll just let you know that there are serious conversations ongoing led by the Minister of Energy, of which I am part of, and there are other stakeholders. And you wanted a timeline. I know that by beginning of next year, I'm sure we would have found a solution. Not necessarily, I'm asking for more money, but there are other alternatives as well. And I don't want to preempt him, so I'll leave it like that. But I know that before January 1, 2023, I'm sure the minister will come out to announce the solution he's found for the country that would alleviate our petroleum security fears. Thank you very much.
Please, if you have any follow-up question. Okay, Ekow. And then, okay, I've seen another hand here. And yes, okay. So those will be the last set of questions. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Ekow. I report for Bloomberg. Maybe I missed certain portions, but how much exactly in total were you owing, and how much have you paid, and when do you reckon you can complete the payment? And you also spoke about piping to the north, where you give an estimated about $1 billion opportunity. Must I tell you that the likes of Ivory Coast have also discovered hydrocarbons, and the Francophone clique will come in as your primus inter pares in terms of competition. What strategy do you have in that regard? And maybe finally, how challenging has it been? Because you spoke about all these things, but you still buy in dollars, but you sell your fuels in cedis. How do you resolve that conundrum, given that within a 1-year enclave, our cedi has moved from 6 to close to 12? How has that affected your top line, middle line, and bottom lines? Thank you.
Okay, so we'll take the second and then the last.
Well, I asked 2 questions and he answered 1. I wanted to find out how much stock we had in the reserve and how long it will last.
Oh, he had already mentioned that. Okay. Yes, that they have 13 days, but together with they have about 50 to 55 days. Yes.
My name is Joshua Smith. I represent thinknewsonline.com. Okay. The last time you spoke to me, you mentioned that some 600 million you were chasing from some institutions. You mentioned it as a worry, and you also said that Yoko is also helping you in getting that. You said you were in court with some people. Can you give us up to speed on where you've got into so far?
Okay. So MD will answer the questions and also give us his concluding remarks.
Josh, I'll start from the bottom. Josh, thank you very much. The last time, it wasn't 600 million. I said about 60 million. And out of the 60 million, Yoko has helped have collected almost 10% of this. The thing about those people who owe you boss margin, it's like VAT. They collect, the OMCs are supposed to collect the money on your behalf because that is where the customer pays. A lot of them collect the money and use it for their personal interest, and the company dies. That's the challenge. So a lot of the companies, you can't find them. Even though they came in as OMCs, they operated for a while, rack up their boss margin, and then they vanish. Yoko is still working on this because now it's an economic crime issue, and I'm sure hopefully we can raise the veil and look for the directors behind those companies and attach their assets so that the people of Ghana can collect their money. So I hope that addresses your question. Stock in reserve, Madam, I'm sure. Ekow asked three questions, very interesting. How much was owed, how much has been paid? Out of the $624 million, we have paid 100%. Out of the 100%, boss paid 68% of that money. Government paid 32% of that money. In terms of exports, you asked, Cote d'Ivoire is also refining. That is true. And the French clique. The competitive advantage we have is that the quality of our oil is better, is the best among the sub-regions. So a lot of the countries would rather prefer, in the absence of any non-tariff barrier, would rather Ghana to pick their products instead of going to Cote d'Ivoire. And so, yes, the more tariff barriers we put in place, the more we'll steer that opportunity to our neighboring countries. But if we're able to remove the non-tariff barriers, I can guarantee you that we will compete effectively and get a fair share. Especially, the second competitive advantage is Bolga. Bolga is so close to the border. Today, a lot of them travel about 900 kilometers to Accra to come and pick their fuel from some of the private depots. But if through NPA we put the right regulation in place, they will limit their travel to Bolga. And Bolga, the journey sometimes to Cote d'Ivoire, through Burkina to, from Mali through Burkina to Bolga, sometimes can be the same. And so they would rather prefer BOST. The critical thing is to remove the non-tariff barriers, and we can trade effectively, especially within the African Free Trade Continental Agreement framework. So we have acknowledged the threat. Thank you very much. But we'll work seriously to make sure we mitigate it. Price risk. You also asked, somebody asked about, was it you? Yeah, price risk. This is a trade secret that I won't want to divulge. Yes, the risk is real. Very, very, very real. You can buy products today, the next day in cities, the next day you go to the market, you will not get the same volume of money. How we are able to mitigate it to still make huge profits and not refinance any of our cargo since 2019. We have never refinanced any cargo in 2019, and every trade has been profitable. It's a trade secret I'm sure you would not want me to divulge publicly. So I won't divulge it publicly. But we have what it takes to make sure that for BOST, we manage our price risk reasonably. Central Bank supports us. The Central Bank supports all the BDCs. And we take advantage of the central banks, but we don't get everything we want. We don't get everything we want. We hope they will do much better for a state-owned entity like BOST, but they don't give us any preferential treatment. The other ways we manage it I can't divulge. So thank you very much for the opportunity, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you so much, MD and your team, for making time for this very important exercise. I didn't want it to end. There is so much to learn from your presentation, but it's to watch you and know that this is a leader who is visionary and has clarity in terms of the direction that he's sending the company for the benefit of all Ghanaians. So thank you so much for making time. Our friends, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We hope you spread the word, the good news, and let us all support BOST in delivering excellence. Have a good afternoon.
I got here today to say it. So guys, I'm currently at Bliss. So the last time I spoke to Anna, the Chapo family, she did mention that there are few places that kids could have fun. But I came here yesterday and I was really impressed, knowing that it's Ghanaian owned.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Blaze and everything everyone watching this video should know.
Okay, so Blaze Family Entertainment is an indoor gaming center. It has 2 sessions, that's the bowling alley and then a trampoline arena made up of 15 different games.
Yeah. From
slides to wall climbing, zip line, slam dunk. It is something that both adults and kids can actually partake in. Okay. People hear the name Blaze and they think it's for just kids. No. Okay. I have 60-year-olds and above actually coming in to have fun. So
yeah, yesterday
a place for all.
Oh yeah, yesterday I really had. I came here with my friends today. We really had fun.
Right.
The one I enjoyed most was the sliding.
The red one is called the Slippery Devil. The name itself connotes what it stands for.
I think if you are not fit, please don't do that.
And don't if you are not courageous and brave, yes, it's for the hard-hearted.
Yeah, but it was really fun.
Great.
So when did it start? How did this idea come? Because this place is located in a prime area.
Yes.
So yeah, how were you able to put all this together?
Okay, so I have a big sister. She's the main owner.
Okay.
One time we're sitting in the hall. She travels a lot and I don't.
Okay.
And we saw a YouTube video showing an indoor recreational center like that. And then we asked ourselves, why do you have to travel outside to experience something like this? So that's why we got the idea to try and bring something like that to Ghana, so that the Ghanaians who don't have the privilege to travel outside can also partake and experience in this wonderful adventure. So that's the goal behind Place.
I can relate, because the first time I tried bowling was when I went to Singapore. Okay. And I was like, but this is something we can have in Ghana. So I'm really happy.
We actually had one. That was some years back
at
in
Labadi.
Yeah,
the last time I went was not
or something like that. Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. This place. So who owns the place?
My big sister owns the place.
Is she Ghanaian?
She's Ghanaian, 100% Ghanaian, owned by a woman.
Wow. Okay, this is why you need to support Ghanaian-owned businesses. Yes. If you are in Ghana, if you are in even in the neighboring part of Ghana, come to Bliss, come and have fun with you and your kids. In fact, as she said, it's not only
and our rates are affordable. Usually when you mention 110 for an hour for kids, people think that it's just jumping, but you can attest to the fact that when you got into the arena, there were so many different activities to partake in. In fact, the 1 hour wasn't enough. Yes, so you have so many things. The 1 hour, the 110 for 1 hour is worth it, actually.
Okay, how much is the bowling experience?
For the bowling, it's 120 Ghana cedis per head per game.
Okay.
If you come in a group of 5 to 9, you get a 5% discount each. Okay. 10 and above, 10% discount each. Okay. The same applies for the trampoline as well.
Okay. So apart from the indoor games, what other activities do you have? What do you have here apart from there?
Okay, so we have an indoor seating area. We have a bar, a restaurant, and an outdoor seating area with a snooker for my boys who like to chill and have fun. Yes, Friday nights, yes. And we are planning on bringing in some karaoke activities and trivia nights and all that. So we have a lot in the line. We're just working on it. It will pop up soon.
Okay. So I'm sure everyone will be interested. I mean, it is in Accra, but not everybody in Ghana is in Accra. Okay. So what's the plan for Bliss? What's the plan for other people in the north? Yes. Other people, because I really put them at heart.
A few years to come, we only don't want to have Accra's happiest place. We want to have Kumasi's happiest place, Bolgatanga's happiest place, Tamale's happiest place, Takrade's happiest place. So the goal is to expand across Ghana and in fact beyond.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you heard it from her. She's Laurentia. Oh, I didn't even introduce you. Can you imagine? Guys, forgive me. I was so excited yesterday when I came, because it was dark yesterday, so we had to do it this morning. Yes. But then I really had fun. Okay. Yesterday was my second time here, and I really had a good time here. So come, and you forgot to mention, it comes with free water.
Yes, it comes with free water. So after jumping, you deserve some free water to quench the thirst after all the adrenaline and the fatigue. So yes, that's the package. And my name is Laurentia Bobtoya. I'm the MD of Bliss Family Entertainment. Thank you. Mwah.
Bliss is located in Accra at the Aviation Social Center. For starts, we got a pair of socks which cost us 5 Ghana cedis each. This experience cost us 110, which is about $10 for an hour.
She doesn't want to jump. She says she's so scared. So this is also the basketball.
The bowling experience is also 120 Ghana cedis, which is about $11 per person. So the game is between me and her. You get a discount if you're more than 5. So guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this vlog as much as I enjoyed being here. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Until next time, on my next video, I want to say I love you all. Bye.
We continue our inquest into Ghana's disastrous performance at the 2021 AFCON, and today we are in the office of the Honourable Member of South Tone, who is also a ranking member on Parliament's Committee on Youth, Sports and Culture. Honourable Kobina Weyome is my guest on Sports Check, and after this break, we talk AFCON. Welcome back from the break. This is Sports Check, and the Honourable Kobina Weyome is my guest. Honourable.
Hi.
Thank you for welcoming us.
Thank you for visiting me in my office this afternoon, and you're all welcome.
You know, prior to coming here, I was doing some research, and one of my colleagues in the office was like, "Oh, he's not a sports person." I was like, "And a parliamentary select committee crowd, what you saying?"
Yeah, that's right.
From people like her, what would you say to them? What kind of education? What is the role of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Youth, Sports and Culture?
Thank you, and welcome to Parliament, precisely my office. And good greetings to my constituents that may be watching, the people of South Tone constituency in the Volta region. For the purpose of further elucidation and understanding, Tone means riverside, and that's why when you come, you see the river, you know, giving you a beauty of nature. Well, a member, in fact, I would say that the workings of Parliament, for the purpose of oversight, to, as it were, work and ensure that the executive lives up to expectation, are done through committees. And the names given to committees gives you the various ministries that they oversee. We in Parliament approve budget. We approve budget for the operation by the executive. We don't just approve for them to just go and we go and sleep. We also do follow-up to ensure that there's value for money in their expenditure, and whatever they do are within the confines of the laws of this country. And so when it comes to the committees in Parliament, they are committees that are well selected per the person's capacity and qualification, given
a particular role to be able to do those work. So for youth, sports and culture is just one of such committees in Parliament that oversees 3 ministries per their name: youth, sports and culture. So you see, we oversee the Ministry of Youth and Sports per our oversight responsibility, the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs currently being designated, and partially, I'll say partially and I'll explain, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture.
That was just by the way. Now let's come to the substantive issue why we are here. The Blasters went to the AFCON and they promised to break their 40, but they came home with 1 point and somehow it's a bag of disgrace. I think Parliament had its bite of the issues and it delivered, I think what I would say, a great statement on the team's performance. The Speaker subsequently directed that some investigations or probing be done on to ascertain why we disgrace ourselves in Cameroon, if I should put it that way. One, does Parliament have the power to deal with issues of such nature, basically performance of the team, or can you explain to us the terms of the directive?
Oh yeah, well, as you already know, we actually went to the AFCON with clear intentions, as you alluded to really get back the cup and to end the drought over several years. But unfortunately, it didn't work to our expectation. And the way it went, it was also not too good. It was quite humiliating. And so definitely I had to put together the statement I did. And I thank God it's well received by both sides. I mean, as much as possible, we have come of age. It's time we put politics aside and discuss sports the way, dispassionately, with the way we must, and find solution to some of the nagging issues that confronts us. And so I wasn't really surprised that both sides spoke so eloquently on what ought to be done and suggestions offered. And so Speaker rightly has requested his committee, particularly the Youth Sports Culture Committee, to go into the matter, because it's very important. We need to know what went wrong. Could it be from preparation, or could it be from some technical aspects that probably didn't gel well? Or because if you watch from where we sit individually, there are the playing body are so endowed with skills, but then as a team and the commitment on the field of play and all that, something really was lagging. And so it is through us asking why and what happened and all that. And I think that is what the Speaker wants to know, and I think Ghanaians also want to know. Yes, I mean, we are clothed with the powers by the Constitution and establishment of Parliament and the role as Parliament to have oversight over the executive arm and over every public institution and everything that concerns the public.
So which institutions or persons are you looking to speak to? Is it the FA, the Sports Ministry?
No, we speak to all of them. In fact, the committee identified quite all these people that will be invited. We identify all key stakeholders: NSA, the Ministry of Youth and Sport, the GFA, including their technical handlers and everybody, all together. So it's like trying to understand.
So the GFA will be invited as well?
Oh yes, I mean, you can't have this thing done without getting them also invited to hear from them. Because see, the point is that you can never tell. It could be that probably by the time they requested for money, the money didn't come at a time, because of these things, preparation, you need time to prepare. You might have put in your request for money and then the money came in at the 11th hour, for instance. Definitely you don't expect a good delivery at the end of the day, because you think all these things are things that might come out. So that next time government, hey, when requests such as that come, you treat it with the dispatch it deserves.
What about the playing body, the players themselves? Because at the end of the day, they are the key actors. They are the ones who went to the field and did not give us the result that we all expected. Are you going to extend invitations to the Dida use the Thomas parties and maybe via Zoom or for them to speak on what happened in Cameroon?
Yeah, I mean, we might want to have a chat with them. I mean, these are wonderful players that we believe they are. And in their own rights, individually, they are good, they are doing their work. But then maybe as a playing body, as a team, what happened? Is there any infighting? Because the reports we keep hearing is that this person gets the ball, he doesn't want to, he was looking for a particular person to pass ball to, maybe, you know, those sort of... so we need to hear from them. I mean, what's from their point of view, or was there anything lacking?
In the speaker's statement, he made quite something that I find quite interesting, that the report by your committee would decide whether Ghana will play the match against Nigeria in March or not. He says if it becomes necessary for Ghana to forfeit that game, we will forfeit the game, and that's based on the recommendations by your committee. One, do we have such powers to order the Black Stars not to play?
You just answered it yourself, recommendation, because Parliament will recommend to the executive. In fact, you just answered, you just answered, many, we cannot impose, but we are working for the public. And we are doing a scientific research under the circumstances. We are actually looking out to, we are not just conjecturing, we're just not saying things without any evidence. We are bringing those who matter into the picture and asking them questions, some in camera and all that. And so people must be free to tell us what it is. And then when we end up putting all this together, and we think that at the end of the day, looking at the picture that maybe the report paints, then we may recommend, we may suggest that, look, it might not be worth it to just proceed. Rather, we have a lot to do as a country to put things together properly before proceeding.
But would you, the works of the committee, will it be made public? Will people be allowed to attend?
You mean the sittings of the committee? Well, we haven't decided. The committee hasn't decided on that. In fact, it came up, so we are looking at it.